I'm not going to have you as a man try to question my intelligence on this case. We're not about to do that. I said my opinion, so I don't know why you only pointed me out of everyone else in this panel. It's kind of interesting that you did that, but I'm gonna let you do that because I'm not gonna answer that.
Just as a super quick thing, and then I'll shut up. We are all here to justify our thoughts. That's why we're on a panel. You don't go to a panel to talk about politics. Say, I'm not gonna explain myself to you. Then why are you on the panel? Your video titled me literally call me a fascist. You guys are actually delusional. It depends on who the aggressor is. That's gonna be the answer every single time.
Oh, so it depends.
It depends. I don't know. Either my mic is cutting out. Either my mic is cutting out, or your ears are not working. So let me say this one more time. If you are running down to burn somebody else's shit down, or destroy their business, or destroy their property, then yeah, in the United States, it seems like you probably have some right to defend that stuff. Do you think people should be able to indiscriminately burn down businesses?
Definitely worth losing a life over.
Well, hey, the people making the decision. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna go to this line of questioning. Who's making the decision to lose their life?
Well, in some cases, I think. Okay.
Wait, holy shit. Are you the progressive Brat? Is my camera fucking out? I want her to answer. 1921 Tulsa race riots or whatever. If black people would have defended their property from white people coming to blow their property up, do you think that would have been allowed?
You keep mansplaining me. Can I please speak? Don't mansplain me, Destiny.
She's calling me.
Yeah, he is. He is. I'm the only woman on this panel. He's literally cutting me off. Destiny, you don't cut anyone else off but me. Like, let me speak real quick.
No, he cuts everyone off. Don't worry. Kyle Rittenhouse situation has taken the nation by storm. This week, Kyle testified on stand and broke down into tears. Some are saying these were crocodile tears, some are saying they weren't. What is your read on the case so far? And furthermore, do you think Kyle Rittenhouse was fake crying to garner sympathy? Or, and then additionally, we can get into a discussion about armed protesting after dark, or anything else related to this. So this one is more open-ended. I'm going to throw it over to, let's go over to DoctorRedPill first on this one. And then we'll do we'll make the rounds. Go ahead.
Yeah, overall, I think he was totally justified in his self-defense. When it comes to the crying, I'm always skeptical of people when I see them incentivized to show emotion. They do it. I was actually convinced by his reaction. I think it's really hard for most people to act that well, and I think he did a good job pulling it off if he was faking it. And as far as people criticizing it, I think there's probably a lot of hypocrites out there who, because they don't like him or like what they think he stands for, they feel justified in attacking him. I do think it's a little gross, and I personally think it's legitimate, his emotional reaction. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, let's go over to Ariana.
Yeah, I'm gonna go completely opposite. I don't know if he, here's the thing, I'm kind of torn. I do believe that guns are a big culture in America. It's kind of a part of the South, a big part of the South, but I'm not sure why he was there. He's not from there, although his dad is. He said he was there to protect property. I'm not sure how he's tied to the property. I can go into detail, but I feel like when he rose his gun to shoot the first person, which was actually Joseph, he could have at least waited a couple of seconds to see what his reaction was. He just kind of went and shot off 4 rounds. Whether his crying was real or not, I'm not totally convinced, but I'm not him, so I don't know. But yeah, I believe in defending yourself, but with this case specifically and where he was at and why he was there, what he was doing there, the situation in which he actually fired that gun, I'm not totally convinced that it was self-defense. That's just me, though.
Okay, let's go over to Mr. Noerr.
Yeah, I believe his tears were real. I've known people that had to shoot a dog that was killing their chickens, and I watched them cry even though they were legally justified. Taking someone's life's no joke. I assume no one on this panel has it. And even if you act with bravado and you try to keep your composure most of the time after that, when forced to relive it under a harrowing experience like testifying in your own trial where you could face many years in prison, sure, that's an emotional thing. The people that are laughing and joking about it are ghouls, and that's fine. They can do what they want. That's all right to be shitty about it. I'm sure they would be the first to scream if someone on the right picked on Alec Baldwin for killing someone, if he cried about it. All that shit's terrible. I feel the same with Baldwin. You killed someone. That's emotional. Now, if you were a cold-blooded killer and went out there intent to kill, that's different. But I believe Kyle, and like Dr. Redpill said, that would be a hell of an acting job. It looked totally legitimate to me. As far as this case, why was he there? He was there because so many of you on the left ignored or justified riots occurring over and over again, didn't want the police to intervene, and didn't want the National Guard to intervene. So as me and many other people said, inevitably that will allow people to say, well, if no one's going to defend us, we will come together ourselves to defend our property. He lived 20 minutes away. It's where he worked. It's where his dad lived. It's where his family lived. He spent a lot of time there. He absolutely had the right to be there. It was unfortunate that someone's life was taken, but he was absolutely justified based on watching this trial and doing so. The first person he shot, he was running away from, and he heard a gunfire behind him. When he turned, the guy was on top of him and was attempting to grab his gun. The progressive Brat says, well, maybe she could have waited a couple more seconds. Yeah, he could be dead, too, if he waited a couple more seconds. Anyone who's a maniac enough to chase someone open carrying an AR-15 and in that way obviously had ill intent and intended to harm him. So, I think one good thing that could come out of this trial is you see a lot of people on the left that were under misapprehensions about this, even though many of us saw the video and knew what was going on months and months ago. And so you see a lot of people on the left that are publicly saying, I can't believe how bad the mainstream media lied. Even people thinking he shot black people, even though he never did, and making this racial.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Let's go over to Shark.
Sure. On the thing when it comes to whether he was fake crying, I don't like to, for me personally, and I just may have, I haven't been in Twitch politics for too long, so maybe my heart is still pure and clean, but I don't like to inject malice where I just don't know if it actually is there, just personally. Just so I don't know if he's faking. It does benefit him, obviously, to fake crying if he was going to fake cry. 100%. I didn't care to watch him cry, so I can't tell you. For me, it doesn't matter whether or not he did really when it comes to the case. It just doesn't matter that much. But I would just say, like, for me, I would I would just say for my lefty people, just be careful what you say if you can't like 100% back that up like on the spot. It's just like it can just be a bad look sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. When it comes to a lot of these Facebook militias and people trying to take the law into their own hands and try to be like a little arm of the police, a lot of problems can come from that. And obviously that's what happened. I mean, thankfully, the police were able to stop 2 other people who were coming up from doing their own like little militia thing as well, and could have easily killed more people. It's just like, I can understand the frustration of a community that would be that's had like rioting done. Obviously, that feels bad, I would imagine. But these militias going to these places, we've seen over and over and over again, especially in Portland. We've seen in like Louisville and many other places that these right-wing militias show up and they just make the situation incredibly worse. They lead to more death, they lead to more violence, and we've seen that over and over again. So even if their purported values are to protect communities, they end up killing more people at the end of the day. So, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Let's go over to Mr. Destiny.
Whether or not Kyle had a right to be there, I think is still... Actually, I don't even think that's a material in the trial anymore. I think the curfew thing was tossed out as not being legally enforced or legally enforceable because it wasn't set up like in a legal manner. Whether or not he had a right to be there morally, I mean... I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do know that he had just as much a right to be there as any of the protesters did. So if you think that any of them had a right to be there, then he absolutely had a right to be there, maybe even more so than any of the protesters there. So I think that's a pretty easy one. I think if you followed like the facts of the case, I would have never comfortably called this a year ago, although I said it definitely looked a certain way because things can come out. There could be new video footage that could show like, hey, well, this happened or this happened that makes things look different. I think we've seen all the progress of the trial now. There hasn't been any new footage. It seems to be exactly as it appeared to be a year ago. It was pretty obviously self-defense. I don't think anybody is seriously contending with that anymore. And then in terms of the whole crying or fake crying thing, I'm really glad that he cried on the when he was giving testimony, because I can see how many like fake fuck lefties that pretend to care about or understand anything about like panic attacks or trauma or any of that stuff have come out of the woodwork. You've got people that will like have breakdowns and cry because people said mean stuff to them on Twitter, but somehow can't believe that a 17-year-old is having a breakdown after killing 2 people. That is actually hilariously, phenomenally stupid to me. But yeah, that's where I'm at on that.
Okay. And then let's go over to Kevin.
Yeah. In terms of whether he was crying or not, it looked fake as fuck, but it doesn't really matter. I don't it's not materially relevant to the case at all. I hope he goes to jail. I think personally he is a murderer. I don't think self-defense is remotely acceptable given the circumstances around it. If you just look at the tiny little video clip, it looks like, oh, he's being attacked. He was defending himself, but I don't think that's really applicable given that he drove there and he put himself in that situation and was acting like a prick. And indeed, actually on Friday, the judge said that he would allow the jury to consider the prosecution's case on that front, which I think is a hopeful sign. But whether you can necessarily prove in a court of law that he's a murderer, I don't really know. I'm not an expert in Wisconsin, or neither is anyone else here. But yeah, I think the Kyle Rittenhouse case has been an interesting litmus test. People who've been out there riding his dick have shown themselves completely, and I will certainly never forget it.
Okay. Now, before we go into the open discussion, I'm going to use this opportunity to say subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, I'm almost at 10,000 subs. Let's get to 10,000 subs, and make sure you follow me on Twitch. Okay. All right. Now that I got the plug out of the way, let's go into open discussion. DoctorRedPill, you've got your hand up. Lead it off.
I'm convinced that anyone who thinks it wasn't justified self-defense is ignorant of a lot of the facts. So I think if I'm going to ask you right now, if you can just like outline how the events went chronologically and see if you can fill in it fairly thoroughly, I think you're going to like be missing some seriously key things. I think people have a tendency, if you don't like him and you want to believe one thing, you're just not going to seek out the evidence in a very thorough way. When Destiny did that, and like he could go either way, he's pretty centrist in this way. He searched thoroughly and like fell strongly on the self-defense side. So can I ask the progressive Brat to just like take us through the events chronologically? I can do it if you want. I think I have a fairly comprehensive view of like what.
Why don't you do it? You go ahead and do it yourself.
Well, so I don't think they know. I just want to see if they know, or like ask them if they.
Yeah, I don't have to prove myself to you based off of my thoughts. I'm a progressive. That's how I think. If you want to go over the events chronologically, Joseph was not armed, and he was actually released from the hospital for trying to attempt suicide that same day that he was shot. So I'm not going to have you as a man try to question my intelligence on this case. We're not about to do that. So if you want to go over the steps, you can. For sure. But I said my opinion. So I don't know why you only pointed me out of everyone else in this panel. It's kind of interesting that you did that. But I'm going to let you do that because I'm not going to answer that.
Just as a super quick thing, and then I'll shut up. We are all here to justify our thoughts. That's why we're on a panel. You don't go to a panel to talk about politics. Say, I'm not going to explain myself to you. Then why are you on the panel? Of course, that's what we're here for.
Well, no, I think it's like, I don't know.
Because he pointed me out specifically, like.
Well, probably because you gave the least fact-based take about the event, so it's not surprising that you did, right?
And can I just lower the heat here? I think what she's trying to say is this: I'm a progressive, so I don't care about facts, and fuck you, you're a man.
When did I
sum that up? Thank you, Rob. Chill. All right, everyone, chill. Guys, chill. Okay.
What the?
Chill. Everybody chill. I don't like.
Thanks for lowering the temperature, Rob.
You are not about to speak to me like that. You're not. Just because we don't agree with each other, you cannot disrespect me like that, and I will not allow you to disrespect me like that. Okay. Yeah, keep laughing.
No, I muted him. Don't worry. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, I muted you. Just chill. Okay. All right. I don't like this like testing other panelists. Okay, if you want to bring up the facts of the case, DoctorRedPill, just go ahead and do that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just to be clear. When you talk about Rosenbaum was unarmed, I agree he was just released like with mental issues. There's video of him earlier in the night. I would like to did you see video of him antagonizing the crowd and being very aggressive people and saying shoot me, shoot me, like did you see
I saw all of that. I just don't, he had his life taken that day, and he clearly had mental health issues. That's my thing. Like I feel like when you raise a gun, I saw the prosecution, I saw him speak on both sides, okay? I feel like when he rose the gun, he could have waited a couple of seconds because he was unarmed. Joseph was unarmed. So I feel like it's justified to pull the gun or the AR-15 and kind of see like, okay, is he going to continue running towards me or not? Because he did not have any lethal weapons on him at that point. That's my only take. That's all I'm saying.
Can I ask one question? Do you think it would change your mind if Rosenbaum had gotten close enough to grab his gun? Would that have changed your mind on that?
I think we could talk about that, but he didn't. So
I rest my entire case. I don't know what to say.
How far away? How far away do you think he was when he was shot, Rosenbaum? You think 20 feet, 15 feet? What do you think?
No, he was really close.
I think it's very interesting that the conversation is so focused
on the facts. It is interesting, isn't it? Doesn't that suck when you have
to
figure out what actually happened?
The self-defense right
the
self-defense right of Kyle Rittenhouse, but not the self-defense of anyone else there that got fucking shot up.
Because when you attack somebody, you can't claim self-defense. That's not a funny thing. That's just like obvious. If I walk up to you and I start beating the shit out of you and then you shoot me, I can't say I was defending myself when I kill you for trying to kill you.
Just on a brief point, because both you and DoctorRedPill mentioned this, the idea that you're some sort of centrist who looked at the facts. You called it the day it fucking happened. We all heard your fucking bullshit at the time. You called it straight away. You didn't give a fuck.
I won't take credit for that. But if I were to take credit for that, I was exactly 100% right completely.
No, you fucking
I absolutely was in every single part. So number one. But number two, I actually said multiple times while covering it, there might be footage that could be released of Kyle Rittenhouse that shows him acting in a highly provocative manner right before the camera starts rolling. Now, it seems unlikely given what we've seen, but it's possible. I said that on the day of the case as well. Unlike you progressives, I don't sit here and try to fucking say exactly what happened on every single case the second that it fucking comes out. Which, by the way,
Destiny, you don't know me, so that's what we're not about to do. You don't know me.
No,
this is the first time you've seen me.
This is exactly. Wait, to be clear, it's the first time.
I don't think. Wait, can I? Wait, hang on. Sorry. So I invited Ariana. She's never done Twitch panels. I don't think he was talking about you specifically. Destiny's had this experience with like a lot of progressives, right, Destiny?
Yes.
You're talking broadly, right? You're not talking.
He's poison.
Yeah, you're not talking.
Wait, I'm not poison.
He's not talking about you specifically.
I feel
he's got like Twitter PTSD or something.
I feel so crazy about this case because this is like one of the most obvious cases of all time. So was the Jacob Blake one, which by the way is what led to the Kenosha riots, where that guy got shot by the cops in an entirely reasonable manner, and he should have been. It was absolutely 100% reasonable. And the misinformation surrounding that shooting is what led then to 2 more people dying and 1 other person being shot by Kyle Rittenhouse 2 days later. And we're repeating it again. You guys are just going to run through the same hamster loop of lying about the facts of the matter and then trying to come to absurd conclusions that are not reality based, and then getting mad at people when they get upset because people are saying, oh, the left-wing media or mainstream media is lying about shit. Why do you keep doing this? Learn the facts.
Well, can I just point out, I think it's really interesting that you're going to blame other people for inciting violence when we all know your most famous clip.
First of all,
do you understand?
Yeah, do you understand that you've pivoted 3 times to just try to character assassinate me without responding to anything I'm saying, right? It's funny that like we can start a sentence.
Because I don't give a fuck what you have to say, but we all know you're on his dick. Yeah, that's fine.
Wait, first of all, I'm not on anybody's dick, number 1. Number 2, if you don't care what I have to say, then why are you on a political panel, okay? And then number 3, if you don't care what I have to say, why are you responding to me? And why do you keep bringing up the like, isn't it interesting, this unrelated fact that I could use to try to attack you with? If you want to attack any of my statements, I'll defend any statement I've made. I'm just saying that it's really upsetting that about this particular case where there is an unprecedented amount of video footage available, everybody has proven to the world that the amount of information available doesn't matter because people will pick and choose and watch what they want. When the facts of the case can be laid out so cleanly with this, that it was pretty obviously self-defense. So the progressive Brat, you didn't seem aware of this, but Rosenbaum grabbed Kyle's fucking rifle before Kyle shot. Yep. There wasn't another second that he could wait on it. Okay, there wasn't more time that he could have waited to shoot at him, right?
He literally admitted in the trial that Rosenbaum hadn't touched him.
His rifle. He touched his rifle. He had his hand on the...
Also, are we just going to ignore the fact that Joseph was literally there and he lied about being an EMT? He lied about being actively in nursing school. Are we just going to lie about... He was literally walking... None of that matters. He was literally walking around the sidewalk and he was asking people if they needed first aid help while he was holding the AR-15. Are you going to get medical attention from a person that's holding an AR-15?
None of that matters. None of that is relevant to self-defense. Literally, none of those facts would deprive him of his right to self-defense.
Right, and if I could look at what the progressive Brat said, so basically she's gone into the history of some of who Rittenhouse was and some of who Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum had depression and he just got out of all of this is irrelevant. That is all irrelevant as to what happened there. Not only did he grab the gun, but if you watch the film that was out the day that this sort of became national news, you can see that Rittenhouse is running away from him for blocks, and right before Rosenbaum reaches for his gun, another person fires a gun behind him. So imagine that you're fleeing a scene, someone's chasing you. Not only is this person chasing you, but the person knows you're armed with an AR-15. Think of how insane someone would have to be to try to actively get into a fist fight and attack someone who's open carrying an AR-15. So you're running, trying to de-escalate the situation. You hear a gunshot behind you. You immediately turn, and a man is grabbing your gun. What did you want him to do? You said, well, maybe if he grabbed his gun, he would have been dead. Rosenbaum would have took the gun and shot him. Then what? He had a right to defend himself.
Can I ask a question? Okay, I want to ask a few questions here just to clarify. Okay, first of all, he was not allowed to have the AR-15, right?
I think that charge has been dropped. No, we don't know that. That charge has been dropped.
Wait, sorry.
So he was allowed to have it. Yes.
So what do you mean when you say it was dropped?
So the problem is that the wordage of the verbiage of that law is incredibly vague. So people don't know if he was allowed to or not. And I think the judge's ruling was, unless the prosecution can prove that it was a short barrel rifle, I think they said that they were going to drop the charge. It might still be up for contention. Some people saying, but my understanding was that they had to prove that it was a short barrel rifle to say that it was actually illegal for him to be holding that rifle.
Okay.
Had he had a handgun, that would have been illegal, I believe, in that same circumstance.
Wait, so handgun is illegal, but AR you're allowed to have?
Welcome to Wisconsin.
Welcome to the United States. Yes, we have all sorts of crazy weird gun laws here.
What the fuck? That's wild.
And that question, and just real quick, that question is irrelevant. Like I said this, I was with Destiny. I didn't hear Destiny's take on this, but I had the exact same take. Any new evidence could be brought forth. I was willing to withhold judgment until I saw the prosecution's case. The prosecution presented nothing new, and in fact, there was more evidence that the FBI appeared to be withholding that actually was a clearer picture that seems to exonerate Rittenhouse as a case to self-defense. But the questions of, but wait a minute, why did he cross state lines? And was that gun legally? That's all irrelevant to the case of self-defense. If he committed some misdemeanor or something like that, the curfew charge has been dropped. But hypothetically, the curfew charge, okay, that doesn't make him a murderer. He clearly had the right to defend himself. Period.
The reason I bring up and then I'll go to DoctorRedPill next, and then Shark, if you want to jump into, just put your hand up if you want. The reason I bring this up is because it seems to me like if he wasn't allowed to bring the AR-15 and he did, that's like agitating the situation a little bit on its own as well. That's basically the reason that Gage
wasn't allowed. Mr. ACLU Gage wasn't allowed to have that pistol he had that he pointed at Rittenhouse,
sure, yeah.
And then lowered it and then pointed again. Yet he's on Anderson Cooper yesterday, perjury, claiming he committed perjury because on the stand he admitted that he didn't get shot until he pointed the gun at Rittenhouse. Yet he goes on Anderson Cooper and says, I was just a medic. I'm from the ACLU. And again, this is exactly what Destiny said. You're going to see riots because the media is gaslighting people just like they did about Jacob Blake. And when you have people that make excuses for these riots and not only make excuses for them, but actually misinform people with the facts of the case, of course, eventually the other side, other people that feel their community is being destroyed, is going to stand up. And it's going to keep happening. And it's sad to see so many people on the left, just because they don't like Rittenhouse politics or they like the politics of the people rioting, which is more specific, they're going to say that he should go to jail. What is it that you want? You don't want the police involved. You don't want the National Guard involved. You don't want the people to defend their own property. So, like I'd ask Progressive Brat and Kevin Logan, what should have happened? The people of Kenosha should just say, well, we don't have the right to do anything, so just leave our town burn until the Democrats feel that it's
a 17-year-old vigilante with an AR-15. Okay, if that's who you want to defend your property, I guess that's on you, because that's not really what I would want.
What they would ideally want is the police to defend it, but we have now where everybody's saying the police is an institution of white nationalism, white supremacy. So also, I'm sorry, but this is the United States of America.
Who's saying white nationalism? Who said it's an institution of white nationalism?
What do you like? The entire ACAB ideology is the idea that the police institution.
Oh no, white supremacy, but not white nationalism.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That is a different thing.
my bad.
It's not. No, it's not splitting hairs. You can have black people in a white supremacy system. A white nationalism would be removal of black people from the country.
Okay,
that's a significant difference.
A white supremacist system. I'm so sorry for misspeaking there. You're very welcome. Right. So if people don't want cops showing up and doing whatever they can to get rid of crowds like this, which I don't imagine any of us do, then obviously people are going to take up their legal right to bear arms and defend their communities. Like that's what you should expect. That's the next step. People aren't just going to lay down and watch their entire cities burn for no reason.
There were cops there.
No, hold on. Wait. To be clear, okay, we just had a conversation, okay, about how in a pre-planned event, okay, cops couldn't even control people from dying in a fucking mosh pit at a concert. Why do we think that police officers are going to be able to stop an entire protest going on in a city? This is Kenosha. What is this population, 100,000 or less? This is a small town. Unless you literally calling in the National Guard in advance, you're never going to have the personnel required to stop these types of protests. That's why you let them burn themselves out. You just kind of direct people around until they get tired and go home.
And not only that, but The governor denied a request to send the National Guard and put yourself in the position of the police. So you just had almost the entire national media malign the police in Kenosha for shooting Jacob Blake unjustly. He was just this poor unarmed man that the police shot 7 times in the back. That was the story that was told. So they didn't want the police there. The police were horrible. They're killers. So the police were like, okay, we're going to stand back. Ironically, did you even know this? Rittenhouse ran to the police. That's who he was running to.
So, Rob, because people were mean to the police get to just not do their job anymore.
Did you want them? Did you want them to arrest the Black Lives Matter protesters? Is that what you would? Well,
if they're rioting, that's a different matter, but not protesters. But the point is, you've just said because the media were mean to the people, the police just stood back and went, "Well, police it yourself then." Like that's
why do we have these complicated? Why do we have these complicated?
Can I ask?
Wait, hold on. That argument. Every time we talk about oppression of minorities in the United States, okay, we have an incredibly multifaceted, class-based, systemic discussion of all the factors involved that make people do the things that they do, okay? And when a conservative shows up and they're like, I think black people kill each other because of their culture and rap music, we rightfully scorn them and say, come on, that's an incredibly stupid way of analyzing like the confluence of social factors that come together to make people act the way they do. But then when we look at police, we go, oh, well, police don't want to do things just because of the media? Like, wait, what?
No, hang on. No. I was saying that's what Rob was outlining. I'm not saying that's what actually happened.
If Rob's saying that, okay? Rob is saying that might be one reason why a lot of police officers feel discouraged across the United States. That's totally fucking fair, right? You had 3 cops in the most easily...
they could stop making a rod for their own back by being shit.
Yeah, but the problem is...
circling the wagons.
But the problem is half the reasons why you think their shit are fucking fabricated by people that don't read the fucking facts of the case. So going on the Kenosha thing...
Maybe that's true, but they still do murders. Murders still fucking take place.
We have
and
a
they're
country
rarely held accountable.
Okay, if I show you one murder every single day unjustified of a cop killing somebody in the United States, do you think that's a bad thing?
Well, yeah.
What do you mean?
Okay, what do I mean is that we live in a nation of 330 million people. Yep. We're not going to have a perfect system anywhere in the entire world where 0 bad things happen ever. There's always going to be some bad apples. There's going to be some bad situations. That's fine, right? If you show me, even if you showed me 52 cases a year where a cop enacted violence that was past what they should have, that doesn't even necessarily mean there's a problem, right? We have 330 million people. We have, over 100,000, I think, active police in the United States. It's a huge number of police. You're going to have some bad interactions. And the Jacob Blake thing, the thing that initially that started these riots was probably arguably one of the most justified police shootings of all time that they all got destroyed for because everybody said that it was just cops shooting an unarmed black man in the back 6 times for no reason.
That's the media. That's the media's fault. And just real quick, look, the media does a horrible job of fully reporting on these things. And there's this feedback loop. The media does not report accurately on the Jacob Blake situation. The public is outraged by the stuff they do see. They go out and riot. The police and the police chiefs are reticent to let their officers control it because there's this political pressure on the top hierarchy of police. And they're telling the foot soldiers not to intervene. And the foot soldiers are disgruntled because they can't intervene. They see all this bullshit happening around them. And the people above them are telling them not to do anything because the media is making a political situation.
But it's not just I'm
here from Kevin.
It's not you can't say it's just the media. The media don't... I'm not saying they don't contribute, obviously, because they're a huge part of the cultural zeitgeist and all the rest of it. But I don't think you can say it's just a matter of the media creating a narrative. Black people, or indeed white people, any people, who have had negative interactions consistently with the police force in America, yes, whilst being spurred on by that media narrative, they're not just going out there because of the media. It's because they know that the police in their area are fucking terrible. And they're fed up with it. That's why riots happen.
Well, one thing I want to ask. Wait 1 second. Sorry, I want to ask. So I want to get this clear, okay? So what you guys are saying is if there's a protest going on and the police are, I guess, undermanned or something like that, that then it opens it up to vigilantism?
Yeah, of course.
If I can. Okay. I am saying that cops would be demoralized, but we also see political pressure because of the narrative that gets shifted and how outraged people are for the chiefs of police and the mayors to tell the police, don't do anything, stand down. We saw this, for example, in Minneapolis. We saw it, for example, in New York. De Blasio has the largest domestic police force of any city in the world. And yet he told his police to stand down because he thought optically it would be bad or would raise the temperature if he sent the police in. The problem is if you do that enough times, people get tired of seeing their community burnt down. So they're like, look at the McCloskeys in St. Louis, right? They called their someone breaks into their gated property. They call their security. Security says we can't help. They call the police. The police says we can't help. So they go outside and brandish weapons and say, get the hell out of here. They get arrested, and the people that came into their property didn't. When this shit happens over and over, it raises the temperature. And furthermore, like the idea, no one's saying, like, you could go back to the Rodney King riots, right? Remember there was this trope where they said roof Koreans? You know what that was? The Korean community that was there in LA, they didn't give a shit about optics. They said, we worked hard for our shit and you're not going to burn it down. And so because the police were unable to do anything, they got into the roofs of their businesses and they shot people that were going into their business. And they had the right to do so, by the way. So, I mean, let me be quite clear. I said this early and often. I didn't want the National Guard deployed. I wanted the police to do their job. But because of the political pressure that didn't allow the police to stop these riots that were occurring over and over and over, you can go back and watch me doing videos like 2 weeks after. I even talked to Destiny. I was saying, you're going to see vigilante justice. That's the next step. When we see the people that control the narrative that are making excuses for this rioting, which is causing the police, the people in charge of the police, to tell them to stand down, inevitably people are going to say, we have to take it upon her. I think we're lucky we only saw one Rittenhouse. We're going to start to see more of it if riots continue to be praised.
No, Rob, we're going to start to see more of it because the right wing have taken him and made and sort of pre-mortem beatified him.
The reason why the right wing was able to make him such a hero is because the left wing was so fucking desperate to turn him into a villain. You motherfuckers were out here.
It's always the left, man. You're so brain poisoned. It's always the left's fault.
Your video title of me literally called me a fascist. You guys are actually delusional, right? You can run around and call other people brain poison all you want. I don't know why you're giving me the fucking eyebrows like you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, because they were just calling Big Bird. Hang on, because the right wing in America were just calling Big Bird a communist. So I think it kind of goes both ways.
Okay, if you want to say that it goes both ways, that's fine, but that doesn't absolve your responsibility.
now?
I'm saying that we should hold ourselves to a higher standards, and we should probably report accurately on the facts of the matter. And if you're going to spend all of your time calling somebody a white nationalist, a white supremacist or a neo-Nazi or a KKK or whatever people were saying Rittenhouse was, which, by the way, there has still been absolutely zero evidence presented for that anybody at that.
He definitely had white supremacist signs. He definitely threw up white supremacist.
Show me an example.
Okay, it was at a bar. It was everywhere. What are you talking about?
We've all seen the TikTok videos. Thank you. Okay, stop. Okay, so there has been no evidence presented of that, right? When you're going to go ahead and throw these terms around, and then afterwards,
what
you're going to be like,
are you looking for?
What? There is no evidence.
The evidence is that he was.
Sorry, can I ask?
He was seen chanting the Proud Boys song.
I have to ask, Destiny. So you're saying that under no situation, if someone does the OK sign, is that you don't count that
as making you a white supremacist? No, and you're incredibly fucking stupid if you say so. It's such a
what about singing the Proud Boys national anthem? What about singing the Proud Boys song?
I don't know the National Proud Boys have a national anthem, but no, him singing that, especially after the fact, doesn't change anything. That was after the shootings that the Proud Boys stuff came out.
So now you're just completely dismissing that he totally did that, and it's literally multiple sources have covered it.
No. Or is that just the media? There was one thing where yes, he was friendly with some Proud Boys after the shooting. But that doesn't mean that he was a white supremacist or nationalist before the shooting. And
so you're just friendly with Proud Boys just to be friendly with Proud Boys.
When the entire left part of the country is shitting on you and you're 17, yeah, it's not really surprising. I'm not talking
about the left. Destiny, let the left go. I'm talking about what he did, Kyle did at that bar.
Let's try to use more than 10% of our brain for this conversation, okay? If the entire
now you're going to resort to just being flat out rude.
Guys, one sec, please.
I'm literally giving you the source.
One sec.
I just want to say, I wasn't
hang on. Destiny, one sec. Please don't name call, okay?
I wasn't. I was being nice.
You said use more than 10%.
Yeah, because I'm assuming she's not really this dumb. She must just not be using all of her brain. That was a compliment.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Guys, hold on.
Are you serious? You can't just debate someone without being so rude and condescending? Are you serious?
Okay, I don't appreciate that, Destiny. Please be nice, okay? Just make your point, okay? This isn't.
Okay. When I bring up things that are relevant to the argument, people are like, "Why are you focusing on that?" Okay, so in any situation,
your reasoning.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, in any situation, if you have one entire group that's shitting on a person, it's really not that uncommon that you see that person gravitate towards another group. After the shootings,
I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead. Okay, so I want to ask you, do you think that by being there as an opposition to the BLM, right, that you're basically making yourself a member of the opposite group, basically? It's not like he was at the grocery store. It's not like he was, can I just finish? It's not like he was at the grocery store and then someone like approached him and tried to take his gun and he shot them. He specifically went there as a counter protester to a movement. So of course,
so the problem is that on the national level narrative, okay, that's what we see. We see a protest, and BLM is there, and they're there to protest the righteousness of bringing justice to the American people.
Sure, yeah.
Okay? That's not the point of view that every individual citizen across the United States has. If your community has already been fucking lit on fire for 2 nights prior in response to the Jacob Blake stuff, which it had been, right? And if you have CNN standing outside with cameras saying mostly peaceful protest with a fucking car dealership on fire in the background, your view isn't going to be, wow, there are friendly BLM protesters coming to this city just to march up and down the street and get their message across. You're probably thinking more like, wow, there's going to be crazy people coming to my city tomorrow. They might blow shit up, so I'm going to show up with a force of arms to defend my shit. That's if that's the case.
But I'm saying, do you see why it is that he was painted as a white supremacist?
By dipshits? Yeah, absolutely, of course.
He provided.
I'm sorry. I gotta push back. I'm wondering, why do you guys think that? And by the way, Shark, I know you haven't had a chance to speak. If you want to just put your hand up whenever you want. I think that it makes sense why he was. It's not that it was like left-wing dipshits. I think it's that if you go there as a counter-protester to a BLM protest, then of course you're going to be painted.
Let's say that there were okay, my last thing, Rob, and then you can go. I'll shut the fuck up. Okay. Let's say there are feminist protests all across the United States. It's for women. They love equal rights. Blah blah blah. Let's say that last night in your town there was a huge feminist protest and they burned half the fucking city down, and they're coming back the next night. If you show up, are you automatically anti-feminism now? This is the same game that Republicans. No, let me finish. Fuck you. This is the same game that Republicans play when they try to say like, oh, well, we're patriotic, and then when you attack them, like, oh, you hate the country. Oh, you hate the country. That's what you're doing right now. I don't give a fuck if it was a BLM protest, if it was a KKK protest, if it was a neo-Nazi protest, it was a goddamn fucking second coming of Jesus Christ protest. The fact of the matter was a group of people showed up, they burned shit down for the prior 2 nights, and they were coming back a third night. Somebody's gonna show up to defend them. It doesn't matter what the fuck the label is, and just because you show up to defend your city from an opposite fucking crew that's coming in and burning shit down doesn't make you anti whatever their label happens to fucking be that night. That's all I got.
I'm not saying it makes you anti. I'm saying, can you understand why it is that he was viewed that way without it? I don't think it's an out of line characterization.
Sure, it's out. Yeah, you want
to blame it on the media when he was literally seen at the bar giving up the sign and singing the Proud Boys song? Come on, but it's the media. But it's the media. I'm sorry, it's the media that covered it. That's the issue.
I saw it.
Rob, if I can make my point. Yes,
guys, be nice. Please be nice to each other. Okay.
Heem, I can see how people. I could see how people would want to do that, but they're shithead political people, right? This is what people didn't get. Yeah, there are aliens on both sides.
Hang on. Sorry. Okay, Rob, if someone showed up, okay, let's use the Destiny example. If someone showed up to the Kenosha and was helping to burn the shits down, do you not classify them as BLM rioters?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so why would you not classify the counter-protesters as a white supremacist or someone who's anti-BLM at the very least?
Because
it's a very fair characterization, I think.
No, it is not. It is not. It is one. It's politically motivated.
Why are you cringing, Destiny? Why are you making
Would you please let me finish?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, right. Because it is politically motivated and it's stupid. For example, let's say a bunch of morons decide that they think that all the Democrats are pedophiles. And so they show up to DC and they start burning shit down. Now people come and they have to defend themselves and they go against these people that are, does that mean they're pro-pedophilia? Oh, these people are pro-pedophiles. They're fighting against the people that are railing
apples
against
and Greenpeas,
no,
dude.
Please,
it's an A to A comparison. It's literally a direct comparison.
Right. So here's what happens. There are
but we know he supported.
Please, there are shitheads on both sides, right? I get that, right? But the reality is most of the people, at least me, I can speak for myself, that was criticizing Black Lives Matter. I'm not criticizing the people that want to peacefully protest.
Black Lives Matter in quotations like that?
Because it's not an official organization with leadership. It is people doing all kinds of shit in the name of Black Lives Matter. And I'm a man, too. I said that, and I'm a man. How horrible.
So you're just completely dismissing the Black Lives Matter. Man, what Black people are going through in this country? Is that what you're doing?
If you would let me finish
let's hear him out. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, Rob, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
So what happens is, for example, I understand there are a lot of problems unique to the inner city, and there are a lot of people that are Black that are pissed off about the unique challenges they're facing. They absolutely have every right to come together and speak up about those problems, and they're right that a lot of those problems exist. However, there are people that are using that as an excuse for violence, or they're so pissed about that they're using violence. That's not legitimate. What people like me were criticizing isn't people that want to go out and peacefully protest. This is how so many people on the left conflate it. They want to say, well, if you're against the riots, then clearly you're against peaceful protesters. That's bullshit. That's not what Kyle Rittenhouse or these people were against. They didn't have a problem. In fact, we've seen person after person saying, I was for Black Lives Matter. I was for them. And then they came into my town and they were burning shit down. They're not against the message of the peaceful people. They're against the violence. That's what they're against. And when people say, well, but if you're against the violence and the violence is being done in the name of Black Lives Matter, then you must be a white supremacist.
Not you must be. No, of course. I agree. Not you must be. I personally am against rioting and burning shit down as well. I think a lot of progressives would fall into that camp. But I'm saying that this is why he's characterized as that way. And then you confound... But then you confound the other things as well. Like, I think Destiny is saying that, like, oh, he was made into this white supremacist hero or whatever. I just think that, like, it's not so much just in the aftermath.
Joe Biden tweeted out an image of Rittenhouse and mentioned white supremacist terrorists. That's how fucking bad it is. When the president of the United States, he wasn't president at the time, he was running, but he sought to use this for political fodder. And the truth is that all the people that did that said, we're going to use this for political points and we're going to say this is white supremacy and shit like that, you're the reason that this is going to exacerbate.
Are you attacking
It's going to get worse.
Are you attacking a politician for doing politics? Because that seems like an odd...
Wait, of course you're going to attack a politician for doing politics. What do you mean? What else can you attack a politician for? What?
Well, no. The criticism, you dozy fuck, was he was saying he made it political. He's a politician, of course he fucking
No, his
did.
issue isn't that he made it political. His issue is that he was incorrect in his political assessment. That was the issue.
No, he specifically said he made it political.
Okay, let's ask Rob, do you think that politicians should never make anything political?
Oh, just go and suck his fucking
Okay, thank you. I didn't think so. Okay.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Okay,
anyway,
can I ask you a question?
we know for a fact that Carl Rittenhouse supported Blue Lives Matter. We know he hung out and took pictures with them. Because Blue Lives Matter was set up as a specific opposition to Black Lives Matter. So it's not crazy.
None of these make them white supremacists.
He might oppose Black Lives Matter.
Shark is going to weigh him. And then after that, I want to hear Destiny. Before we go to Shark, actually, Destiny, just give me a yes or no question. Do you think that you have like a personal, like, emotional attachment to this specific case because of how it has impacted you?
No,
personally?
Dude, I've been impacted by so many things. If you want to attack one of my arguments, go for it. But I don't have like a personal, like.
No, I'm just wondering if you personally think that, like, maybe you have a particular bias towards this case because of how it impacted you. But
no, I don't think so. Regardless of how this turns out, it doesn't make any of my shit better or worse. No.
All right, let's go to Shark. Yeah, you can go after Shark. Go ahead, Shark.
Sure. So, I mean, I have been listening this entire time. I would like to push back a little bit on the there's like a couple of bad apples in the police a little bit. Destiny, is that right for kind of like what you said?
What did I say?
You said like just because we've seen some issues in the police doesn't mean that there is a pattern there. But I do. You agree with like
so my
patterns
issue
in the police.
The quick characterization of this is that like conservatives saying that like police don't act incorrect or whatever. I don't even know if that's their position, to be honest. But like the idea that the institution of the police is fine and there is no reform necessary, blah, 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 that's ridiculous. However, the left continuously finding these stories that they dramatically misrepresent, or this overall narrative that like if you're a black person in the United States, cops are just indiscriminately driving around like mowing you down in the street. That's absurd. And I think that type of environment puts everybody in an unhealthy world where we're protesting issues that aren't actually existing, where we're calling for changes that don't actually help,
we're
like all the defund
issues
or whatever.
that aren't actually existing.
Is there like a 10-second echo in here?
Well, Destiny, can you elaborate? What issues do you think are being protested?
So, like, it seems to be the case, based on what I've seen, that there does exist some level of discrimination in our system against certain minorities, especially socioeconomically, right? But even just against black people, all else equal for socioeconomic, or all else equal for other issues.
I've seen you debate.
Yes, exactly. That does seem to be the case. However, this narrative that cops are running around indiscriminately killing black people, or that they're just constantly bloodthirsty looking, or every single outcome of a trial that we don't like is a result of white supremacy and blah, blah, blah. That's like way too not even close to reality. It's absurd. And then it leads to people. It leads to this cringe situations where people are, I'm sorry, and the case was horrible, and I'm glad that Chauvin got in trouble, but George Floyd wasn't a fucking hero. This is not somebody to be revered or fucking worshipped or whatever, right? And then people like Jacob Blake aren't like victims of the system, and cops aren't always doing these horrible things, right? We like totally lose sight of like any realistic conversation.
He is a victim of the system. He's literally paralyzed.
After he tried to drive off with his ex-girlfriend who he'd fucking raped, drive off with her rental car and her fucking kids. He got shot. Yes.
Kids were in the car.
Right, and listen, real quick, with Destiny, like, this is how I put it. I totally agree with Destiny here, right? There are real problems. There are real problems that we need to have real conversations, right? But the problems aren't as bad as what some people are saying. So what are some of the things that people are protesting that's fake? The shooting of Jacob Blake. And what happens is when you build your movement on where so many people focus on these situations that are lies, then there's a counteraction. Then the people on the other side that you need to convince, look, everything's not roses. There are real problems that need solved. All they see is the big things that the media go after. Jacob Blake, Michael Brown. And when you find out that those stories are bullshit, then you have people saying there are people literally engaged in violence, claiming the police are white supremacists and shit, out there just bloodthirstily murdering black men, and it's not true. The cases that they point up as the examples for this isn't true. And all this does, the only people that benefit from this are the people in the media and the people that want to drive a wedge to people, because now people just, like, that's where Rittenhouse went, right? Afterwards. He gets demonized as a white supremacist by a candidate for president. Of course he's going to slide to the right.
Okay, wait. Hang on. So there's no personal responsibility. The left were mean to him, so he had to become a white supremacist, obviously.
He never became a white supremacist.
Naturally.
Wait,
There's
where's
no evidence.
Okay, hang on. I want to hear from Shark.
Apart from him taking pictures with Proud Boys and
that
being
makes
like,
you a white supremacist?
Destiny, what do you want
you're
to
a Proud Boys fan now. Oh, brilliant. Bravo.
No, all right, let's go to Shark.
Question, real quick. If I find someone that takes a photo,
oh my god, can you let Shark speak?
Let's go to Shark.
He's had his hand up like for 5 minutes now.
All right, let's go to Shark. Let's go to Shark. Go ahead.
Brat.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, okay, guys.
And I'm a man, too.
Everybody chill. Be nice.
You've done that joke like 4 times.
All right, one sec.
Oh.
Let's breathe. Okay, Shark, please bring some sense into this. Go ahead.
Sure. Now, there are definitely people who lie and mischaracterize a lot of these events. People have like political goals. That happens all the time. Happens a lot on the right, actually, as well. Trying to pretend like there is no connection between the police and a lot of these far right and even like right-wing extremist groups. I mean, the 3%ers, Proud Boys. We've seen a lot of instances, and there have been some. I want to make sure I get the word right. Like there have been some studies that looked into how police deal with right-wing extremism in their departments, and it's not good. A lot of the times, it's led to fester unless it becomes a big like PR problem for the department itself. So, and I think that goes. And now, obviously, not literally every single time a black person is killed by the police, it's like this awful, terrible, super racist event, but. Obviously, I mean, there's 100% a pattern there. I think people 100% go too far with it sometimes, but I don't think that we can just throw that all out. And I mean, like, I just can't. It's hard for me to say that when you go out and do something like that, especially when we've seen, once again, like 3%ers, Proud Boys, and all of these groups of people who've been agitating at BLM protests, and then you basically go out and basically do near the same thing that they do, or at least the same thing they purport to do. I can understand how lots of people can confuse you as being like a part of their group. And now, like, and I mean, listen, the Proud Boys themselves, they are an explicitly violent group. Like it is in their like recruitment that you have to commit violence to finally be a part of the group. I mean, they're a terrorist organization in Canada. That's why a lot of them moved down to Washington in Portland.
I mean, here's the problem, right? 2 things. One, real quick to Kevin. So you're saying if someone took a picture with a black nationalist, that would also make them a black nationalist?
No, taking chummy pictures, not just taking a picture.
I would 100%.
Kevin,
I can 100% imagine people.
Hang on. I was asked a direct question, wasn't I?
No, I thought he was talking back to Shark, I think, wasn't he?
No, I asked Kevin a direct question.
Oh, sorry.
He said if you took pictures with the Proud Boys, you're a white nationalist or white supremacist.
I did not say that.
So I'm asking, yes, you did. You said he took pictures, so that would
reiterate, Shark, reiterate your point.
I mean, I'm quite sure, unless like I'm apparently like really tired.
Kevin said this, not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay then.
Yeah, we're getting mixed up. He was
go on, Kevin.
And I would just say the point is not just taking pictures with like in some sort of passive sense. He was being chummy with them and drinking with them in a bar and throwing
and he sang the Proud Boys song with them.
Like I don't again in a court of law, can I prove he's a white supremacist? Probably not. No. But we're not in a fucking court of law.
Okay, Barack Obama and many members of the Congressional Black Caucus took pictures with Louis Farrakhan. He's an anti-Semite and a black nationalist.
They got it.
He is, yeah.
Why are you pivoting what we're saying to Barack Obama? He just admitted that he was seen with a white supremacist and he took pictures with them and he sung the Proud Boys song. Like, why can't you just admit that he did that?
Wait, I just want
to make you a white nationalist.
Why are you pivoting?
Hang on. No one, I don't think here is saying that 100% we know for a fact that Rittenhouse is a white nationalist. I think what we're saying is that it's understandable.
You can't see in his face.
Yeah, and we've heard, and Destiny, I've heard you say this before, that it's almost impossible to know whether or not someone's actually racist. But what we can see is a pattern of behavior that we can draw some sort of conclusions from.
What
right?
pattern?
And I think that
showing up with a photo app, showing up. Can you at least acknowledge that? I don't know if you guys are fucking delusional. Can you at least acknowledge that if you're 17 fucking years old and the entire one side of a political movement in the United States is attacking you, and there's one other side that's offering you like harbor or refugee, that you're probably going to buddy up with those people? Can you please acknowledge that? I just want to make sure. Okay, so do you think that if that so okay, great, wow, both of you did. So do you think that butting up with those people, therefore, is reflective of political beliefs that he had prior to anything that happened?
Well, we know before this he supported Blue Lives Matter.
Blue Lives Matter. Wait, hold on. Wait, okay, then we'll hop to the next thing. Do you think that if you're supporting Blue Lives Matter, does that make you a white supremacist?
No, not necessarily, but I'm making reasonable inferences that that's the side of things he's on.
You're reasonable. Okay, do you have...
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
I want to hear from DoctorRedPill. Man's had not one but two hands up. I think it's fair.
Let me recenter this. We started with a self-defense, talk about self-defense with Rittenhouse. I feel like you guys have an optical blind spot where people who understand it's self-defense are looking at the facts and like directly at the facts of the case and the actions that took place. What you're doing, you've done this repeatedly. This is all you've done, is you've gone to the periphery and like look for motives and character, and you're just reaching. You can't see the bullseye, which is that he was there trying to defend property, whether that was like too bold, maybe, but he was attacked by people. He didn't shoot until they were right in front of him, like on top of him. He had unbelievable discretion in his like handling of the events. And what you're doing is like, well, afterwards he went to a bar and buddied with people. Can you feel yourself reaching so far away from the bullseye that we are?
The topic. We literally went into the topic. Yeah. You can bring it back to that. We can start talking about that. But in retrospect, we were talking about the white supremacist topic.
Yeah, but we want evidence that he was a white supremacist before what happened after the shooting, and we don't have any of that.
But I don't think anyone's arguing that he's definitely like 100% going to be found guilty. So the things you bring up there might actually work out in the court case. That's true. I don't know. I'm not a
He's not on trial for being a white supremacist, but okay.
Well, exactly, yeah. No, but that's but and again, you couldn't prove it anyway because it's inside someone's head, and that's impossible.
Well,
to know.
No, hold on, no. We could find reasonable evidence that somebody is based on either stated beliefs. But you don't think
this is reasonable?
Like chilling with a white supremacist group in a bar, yeah.
No,
okay. Did you guys see the video that was released on AP where he was literally across the street and he was like, "Oh, I wish I had my gun so I could shoot the shoplifters," when he was literally across the shoplifters
and there's
were
a
nowhere
reason,
near him.
and there's a reason why that wasn't allowed to be admitted as evidence, because it's not really relevant to this particular circumstance.
But it's relevant to his personality and who he is.
It's relevant to his personality when he sees people shoplift. I say that I wish I could, in a video game, people that leave their carts out in the parking lot, right? I don't want a video like that. But this is real life.
We're not talking about a video game.
Hang on, sorry. So we're talking about two different things here, right? So one, we're talking about whether or not there's some sort of clues or something that he was a white supremacist. You're saying that that thing was not admissible in court. We're not arguing whether or not it was.
No,
right?
it's not about it being admissible in court. The conversation is over what the fuck does it mean to be racist or a white supremacist or a white nationalist. And you guys have broadened the umbrella to these words that would include like fucking 85% of the American population.
Yep.
When you're on some shit like, if you support Blue Lives Matter or Within Blue Line, you're a fucking white supremacist. What are both fucking shit? That's delusional.
I just want to, again, I will just bring up that the right wingers spent the last week calling Big Bird a communist.
Wow.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, started by Ted Cruz, by the way.
Wait, hold on, Heem. I think my shit is glitching. Hold on. Kevin keeps responding to somebody. I have no fucking idea who he's talking to. Am I missing somebody in the call?
Big Bird. Isn't that the next topic?
Wait, who in here was defending conservatives? Who in here was defending conservatives calling Big Bird a fucking communist? I can't hear the mic. I don't know who's saying something.
You stupid fucks. The point I'm making is you're suggesting, because again, you're just so fucking the left poisoned your fucking brain. You've gone, right? The point is, I'm making that in America especially, and to a degree disagree here in Britain. Both sides have been doing this, but you're only ever going to focus on that left side because you're so fucking brain rotted.
Okay, I understand you have no idea.
First of all, Rob, let him finish.
Yeah, okay, first of all, I don't know who you think I am, or obviously you have no fucking idea who I am, okay? Me and Rob here probably debated more heatedly than any other two people on this fucking panel, unless he has with somebody else, okay? So I am not pro-right wing, but in this case, it is the left wing that is fucked up. You can move all you want, okay?
I don't know about you, but when you're going about the Proud Boys being, the Proud Boys are just serial enthusiasts. They're not white supremacists. Don't be silly.
No, the thing is that
you're just
I'm a little bit
leaving shit out. Like there is video of him across.
There is
video of him across the street. There's literally video of him. I'm going to keep speaking until I can make my point. There's literally video of him across the street, where two people were apparently shoplifting. He said, "Oh, I wish I had my rifle so I could shoot them." Clearly, he has a certain personality, and even if it wasn't admissible in court, it's still facts.
Yeah, we're talking about it
there.
So unless you're going,
nothing
may I
about respond to this.
Sure. Okay.
Real quick. One, that people say that shit all the time. Man, I would like to cause grievous bodily harm to someone.
Oh, you're friends with, but no one around me says that. I wish I had my rifle to shoot people.
Please.
Speak for yourself, because I don't hang out with people like that. That's just you.
You're not doing as well as you think, so leave someone else talk.
That's the first thing. I don't need your approval. I don't need your approval.
Okay. Rob, listen. Rob, I muted you.
You don't have to agree with me if you don't want to.
Okay. Hold on. I muted you, Ariana. I muted you, Rob. I don't
like...
Second. Yeah, go ahead.
1 second, Heem. Listen, Kevin, progressive. Can I talk to them for a little bit after you're done?
Yes. Let me just say, guys, please don't name call. No reason to say you're not doing as well as you think you're doing. I see through this shit, okay? Try to be good faith. Just make your point, Rob. You don't need to insult, and you don't need to insult back, Ariana. Let's try to keep it
Heem, shut up, you poopy head. Shut up.
All right, fine. Go ahead. Let me hear from Shark. He wants to ask a question. Go ahead, Shark.
Oh, wasn't progressive where you were going to finish, right?
If you want to finish.
Yeah,
May I finish my point that she interrupted
me for?
Wait, you know what? No, this is my time, and I'm giving it to progressive to finish.
All right,
Thank you. Honestly, I made my point. All I'm gonna say, Rob, is if you're gonna disrespect me, I'm gonna disrespect you right back. I don't know what you think this is, but that's how it's gonna go. So that's just. I'm not gonna start it, but you're definitely gonna get the heat back.
Okay.
That's fine.
Let's just
now, I was making a point, and then she interrupted me.
That's all I got to say. Shark, please go ahead. Shark, you can go ahead. That's all I wanted to say.
I was making a point, and she interrupted me. So I'll just finish real quick. So the point is, one, people say that stuff.
All right. Everybody just chill for 1 second, okay? I heard your point, Rob. Your point was that...
No.
Okay, talk
you
to
heard
me, Rob.
5 seconds.
Talk to me. Make your point. Pretend you're talking to me. Go ahead.
Sure, I'll talk to you, him. One, that people say that sort of stuff all the time. Second, even if he said that about shoplifters, how does that lead to he's a white supremacist? Might show that he's violent, but what does that speak to him being a white supremacist? Now, third, the reason that we're talking about the left is because, one, in this situation, that's the case. Second, prominent politicians called him a white supremacist, like our president of the United States. And third, you're doing the progressives on this panel are doing such a disservice because they're basically saying anyone who had motivation to be against the violence they saw at Kenosha, we view them with suspicion as being possibly being white supremacists. All you're doing is you're setting up reasonable people that would say, yeah, I have reasonable feelings. I'm independent, or I'm in the center. I think that Black Lives Matter has a point. I think the progressives have a point. But when you make everyone the enemy that says, yeah, you could reasonably say we're against this rioting, and I'm going to show up to stop the rioting. Oh, well, then we're going to view you as a white supremacist. It just shows how ridiculous your worldview is.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go to Shark. Yeah.
Well,
Shark,
Can I just say one thing really quick? You thought BLM wasn't real. So yeah, we can all make our inferences, Rob. Just saying.
Who's
Short, go ahead.
BLM? Who's the leader of BLM?
Wait, guys, stop.
Okay,
please.
I don't want to go down that route. Let's
go.
Soros. Shark, save us, please.
Sure. So listen, I just have to say, when you are basically in the shadow of a lot of white nationalists, white supremacists, and far-right extremist groups, like 3%ers, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, okay? And this has been a really big thing moving into the future, moving through like the time that we've been protesting in like 2020. I can see your average reasonable person who looks at what happened there in Kenosha and saying that he was a part of a militia, or like a Facebook militia, which he kind of was, and militias, right-wing extremist militias that were out on the street were shooting into Black Lives Matter groups and were being racist, this is true. Okay. And then afterwards being with the Proud Boys. All right. I'm not saying that he is. I just think, like, looking at all those facts, I'm pretty sure, like, a reason, just telling that to a normal person, I'm pretty sure they can be like, he may hold some bad views, but I'm not sure if, but, you know.
I agree.
Is that not reasonable?
Totally disagree.
No, it's not reasonable.
So okay, so here's the problem.
Wait, can you answer my question as well? If that picture at the bar with the OK sign came out from before, would you change your mind, Destiny?
Maybe, but maybe not.
Okay,
That's
go
not
ahead.
enough.
You can answer
so
Shark's question.
Here's my issue. Okay, so the reason why we identify any problem ever is so that we can have a solution. That's the whole point of analyzing problems. We don't just look at things and say this is bad because it's bad and then we leave it. We try to, so if you're a doctor, you try to diagnose a disease, and the reason why we diagnose a disease is to find therapeutic treatments for it. That's the whole point. This is why we find problems. So if I look at a whole bunch of militiamen showing up to a city, and my analysis is, I think these guys are all racist because they're here opposing BLM. Well, how do we fix that problem, right? Well, we're going to have to talk about, like, how do we make people less racist? How do we, like, get people to have better views of BLM? Like, these are the situation. These are the problems that we're going to be trying to solve. Okay. But if we back up and we go, okay, well, hold on. We see that there's a bunch of militia-like people showing up to a town, and the reason why they're doing it is probably because, like, their city has been burned down over and over again, or there's a lot of rioting going on, and that's probably why they're there. Our solution to that problem is going to look a lot different, right? Maybe it'll be like, well, we need to have stricter curfews, or we need to have more policemen, or we need to have the National Guard. Now, I believe that it's more likely the latter than the former reason, that they're probably there to protect their communities rather than they're there because they hate black people. So my solutions, I believe, are going to be more realistic when it comes to trying to get rid of this type of violence or prevent this type of violence in the future. If your analysis of this problem is just that, wow, there's a whole bunch of racist people and that's why they're showing up, you're going to be having a fantasy conversation about trying to fix these problems because you don't even know what the problem is. That's my problem.
And the same is true politically on other issues, right? When Glenn Youngkin wins in Virginia and we're just like, well, that's because white supremacists. Not everything's because of white supremacists. There are legit, like, you could see the moral superiority of so many of the progressives because they think, like, either you agree with us in everything we do or you're a white supremacist.
You ran off CRT.
As Shark Zero's point here, right? Like, he keeps saying these words like the 3%ers, the Proud Boys, and all of these groups. And we say all of them are white supremacists. I don't know if that's true. It seems like they're shitheads at the very least. I don't know if they're all white supremacists.
Have you looked into any of these groups?
No, because it's
okay.
being...
Yeah,
like,
it's
just
clear.
real quick.
I've seen...
Right, says the person that doesn't even know the facts of the Rittenhouse case that's here to say...
Hey, Rob,
my God, Rob!
Just,
oh my God!
Just answer Shark's question, Rob.
I'm answering, right?
You don't need to attack other people.
She attacked him first!
Are you white knighting Heem? Mr. White Knight Heem, good work, man.
Rob, say you're a man again.
I go back at her. That's the way it
goes.
goes. I'm not upset about it. If she wants to come at me, I could make the point.
Okay.
I didn't make an insult. I said she doesn't know the facts of this case. Now, the point is, right, there are equally horrible groups on the left that we could see that have been connected. Who did the majority of the rioting in 2020? It was the left. It's just true. And people got fed up with it. And so saying, well, there's groups that are bad that are fed up with it. So if someone's around those groups, they must be white supremacists. It's nonsense. Any more than I would say, well, Antifa took over 6 city blocks in the Chaz zone and they murdered a young African-American boy. So
well,
anyone in Black Lives Matter
that before. I've heard you say shit like that before.
And so anyone that's connected to Black Lives Matter is connected to murdering a young African-American boy. That's bullshit. I haven't said that. I said that the people that are using the movement for violence and for a political agenda are wrong, but certainly the run-of-the-mill people that support Black Lives Matter, most of them deplore the violence. Most of them have said, I've seen people, Black Lives Matter, telling Antifa and other people, get the hell out of my neighborhood. Why are you here burning it down? We're here for justice. Right? I support
and
that.
It's all fucking white kids, too. Fucking white kids.
That's right. That's exactly right. I'm
just like the people that got shot
and
the Kenosha. Yep. Fucking white kids.
Think about it. Just let me finish real quick. Right. I'm told that I'm racist. I'm told that I'm racist because I'm against predominantly white people going into black neighborhoods and burning them down. That makes me racist because I'm like, no, that's a step too far. Don't do that. And yet I'm
be a little more than that,
white supremacist if I say that. It's so fucking stupid.
Okay. Let's go to Kevin.
I was just going to push back on the rather silly notion of most political violence in America being by the left, considering if you look at the number of terrorist murders, it's overwhelmingly
mass shootings,
right-wing motherfuckers shooting places up.
How many?
That's just true.
Wait, hold on. If we talk about, hold on, let's be honest. In terms of like killings or whatever, like right-wing versus left-wing violence, it seems to me to be the case that it's obviously right-wing. But if we talk about like overall like damage done, if you're looking at like 2020, 2021, well, 2020, like all the riots and everything, that was overwhelmingly left-leaning, of course. That's like,
we have to talk about the riots, but I don't
also recognize that was in response to George Floyd. That was in a very special circumstance. And also, there were 3 people that created Black Lives Matter. It was Alicia Garza, Patrisse Cullors, and Opal Tometi, which are actually all 3 radical Black organizers. So for you, Rob, to just completely dismiss the whole entire Black Lives Matter organization and movement and the uprising that happened based off of George Floyd, before that uprising happened last year, people were kneeling. They were peacefully protesting for years until people rioted in that way. You are completely dismissing that whole entire movement when you are speaking. Do you realize that?
Can I just
you want me to answer?
In addition,
let's let Kevin add on.
Preferably, I don't want to hear you speak, but
it's okay. It's okay. Hey, listen. Okay. Everyone. Okay. I don't. Okay. First of all, I want to say Ariana gets a little bit of slack because this is her first time debating on a panel. Okay, I think she's doing great to put up with Rob and Destiny, fucking tag teaming for the first time ever. But I think that like either way, I don't like name calling. Okay, so let's try to keep that to a minimum. Okay. But yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of the overall damage done, yeah, I mean, it was the left largely that was rioting and all the rest of it. But I'm far less concerned with a Wendy's burning down than with like peaceful synagogue attendees being slaughtered.
Okay, wait, why do we, hold on. Okay, you just did it. It's actually so fucking disgusting, okay? If you want, go look, like, this is like saying, like, who the fuck cared about what happened in Syria? So a couple of Walmarts got blown up, right? Like, dude, some of these blocks were, like, absolutely fucking totaled. Even in just Kenosha, this small city, I think that the property damage got up to, like, $50 million just for that small city, right? We're not just talking about one Wendy's burning down. We're talking about tons of businesses, some chains, some local businesses.
I was trying to be poetic about it, but
You're not
my point is property damage is less important than human life.
First of all, that's not
the general point I'm making.
To some people, property is their life, okay? So stop with the dumb fucking arguments, okay? Number one. Number two, you are trying to be poetic.
No, property isn't their life, Destiny. That's just not fucking true. They may find it very, very important and a cornerstone of what they think they are, what they've built around themselves. But if they're still alive, they can rebuild that.
If you don't have if you own a business and that's how you provide for your family, that property may as well be your life, okay? Now, for those of us here with wealthy parents who live in gated suburban communities, maybe you don't understand that perspective, but there's a reason why when you see these riots happen, there are people crying out in the street saying, this is my business, why are you doing this? Like, please stop or whatever, right? And
well, I do hope you're not impugning me as being from a gated community, because I'm not surely not. I know I've got a British accent, but we're not all rich.
Sure, you just give a very white gated community perspective, but maybe you got that way all on your own, okay? So the problem is that, like,
you're the one going
to finish responding
to
this
guy's
point?
If only 50 people get killed, that's fine, because you're not the one that's going to get killed. You're the white rich man.
Okay, so I'm just saying that, like, people keep trying to frame this as like, oh, it was only I don't care about a Wendy's burning down. It wasn't just a Wendy's burning down. And if anything, you should care about this stuff burning down because that's what's causing people to take up arms and go out on the street and fucking march around being anti or counter protesters. So you probably should be somewhat concerned about it. Also, this idea that the BLM, the rioting was in response to the George Floyd stuff, just because something happened that was horrible doesn't give you the excuse to go and burn down a fuck ton of private businesses. Okay, so that is not a valid response.
So you prefer businesses over human lives? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he genuinely does.
I prefer people to not burn down private property. Yes.
You're pivoting my question. Hold on. Can you give me 1 second? I just want to talk to Destiny really quick. You're pivoting my question. So you prefer to lose human lives over losing a couple of buildings, which, by the way, most of the time are insured, get rebuilt almost literally the day after. So you prefer to protect those buildings rather than the human lives that are being lost. Which, by the way, George Floyd was murdered. He was literally choked for 9 minutes.
Wow, 9 minutes. Wow. So have you ever filed an insurance claim without the help of your mom or dad before? What is this argument of like, oh, well, there's an insurance. It's easy to get back. Insurance is a huge fucking hassle to get paid out sometimes. And there was that as much was said by a lot of the people that own these businesses in Minneapolis. Not all of them were covered for the types of damages.
Not answering my question.
What, you just ranted for 5 fucking minutes about irrelevant shit.
Do you prefer human lives over a building and insurance claims?
It depends on who the aggressor is. That's going to be the answer every single time.
Oh, so it depends.
It depends. Yeah, hold on. I don't know. Either my mic is cutting out. Either my mic is cutting out, or your ears are not working. So let me say this one more time. If you are running down to burn somebody else's shit down, or destroy their business, or destroy their property, then yeah, in the United States, it seems like you probably have some right to defend that stuff. Do you think people should be able to indiscriminately burn down businesses?
Definitely worth losing a life over.
Well, hey, the people making the decision. Wait, no, wait. Hold on. I'm gonna go to this line of questioning. Who's making the decision to lose their life?
Well, in some cases, I think. Okay.
Wait, holy shit! Are you the progressive Brat? Is my camera fucking? I want her to answer.
So people that choose. Oh, hold on, Destiny. So people that willingly go to Black Lives Matter protests to actually protest something that they've been protesting for years prior, and nobody has been listening to them up until the point that they start rioting. So you're saying that they choose to go to these protests willingly, and they decide they go knowing that they're going to die at those protests. Is that what you're saying?
We're not talking about protesting, honey. We're talking about burning down.
Hey,
she called Rob honey earlier. Heem, stop fucking simping. Are you fucking serious right now? She's literally called like three people on this panel honey. Okay, call them I'm Midwestern. I can say that.
Nobody call anybody honey.
Okay, she's not allowed to say anymore either. Then, okay.
Okay, please don't.
So there is a difference.
The fuck?
There is a difference. There is a difference between protesting and rioting. Do you acknowledge that?
She gave the justification for rioting.
Do you acknowledge the fact that Black Lives Matter had been protesting peacefully for years prior to the rioting with George Floyd? Do you acknowledge that?
Of course I do. 93% of the protests are peaceful. However, Kenosha militia people didn't show up because of peaceful protests. They showed up because of over $50 million in property damage. Do you acknowledge that?
All my question was that if you prefer human lives over property, and you basically responded.
She's not going to engage with the question.
I got my answer.
Wait, one second.
She's not going to engage.
I'm gonna draw the bridge. Okay. I think what Destiny is saying is it depends on the context. In some situations, you could justify defending your property at the price of someone's life, is what he's saying, I think. But what I think that what Ariana is saying is that, like, you acknowledge, Destiny, that there is systemic inequalities when it comes to policing and so on and so forth, and that these things have been on the forefront of minorities and marginalized people's concerns for decades now, and it's gone unaddressed. So it's not as though they're like rioting and burning down buildings just for jokes or like to get the newest Jordans. It's because there's like an actual thing that's going unaddressed. I've heard you.
I understand this. Hold on. No, I don't need this. All this background is not relevant. You don't need to go and blow up private businesses to protest your point.
No, of course. Yeah.
I just think Destiny and I fundamentally disagree. I think that's what's going on. I think we fundamentally disagree on where we. Can I speak, Rob? Really quick? Damn.
Let her finish.
Give me like 2 seconds.
Okay,
I think Destiny and I just fundamentally disagree of when a person's life should be taken. Personally, I just don't think it's justifiable under any circumstance when a person's going to protest.
Okay,
but then Destiny disagrees with that. I just think we fundamentally disagree. That's it. I'm just gonna land my plane there.
Okay. One final question, and then I'm done. Okay. In the 1921 Tulsa race riots or whatever, if black people would have defended their property from white people coming to blow their property up, do you think that would have been allowed? If white people were only going to show up and blow their property up and leave, do you think that black people had a right to protect their property there from white people coming in to do it?
I don't think any person should die at a protest, no matter what race. I don't care if they were a swerve. I don't think it's justifiable.
So in the event of like Black Wall Street being burned to the ground, okay, do you think that if black people wanted to defend their property there from the white people that were
coming, wanted to, they couldn't.
But if they could,
let's rephrase that.
If they could, I don't need to rephrase it. It's a historical event. It's already happened, okay? If they could
have defended, you said if they did, which they couldn't.
That's because
they literally could not.
Oh my fucking God, it's a hypothetical. Okay, hold on, shut up. We're up to 30% right now, okay? We're getting there, okay? Let's say that they show up with firearms. Black people, let's say they could show up with firearms to defend their property. Would they be allowed to do that in your world? Or do they have to stand by and watch it all be burned to the ground?
That's different.
Why are you bringing up black people in this? Like I just told you that I don't think it is justifiable for any person to die at protest or riot. That's just my explanation for it. We fundamentally disagree on that. You bringing up the Tulsa massacre and if black people could or they couldn't, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what race, who is defending what. I don't think a person should die at a protest that turns into a riot. Protesting is our fundamental right in America. I lived in Iran for a year.
Hold on, you don't have a fundamental. You don't have a right to riot. You don't have a right to riot.
Let her finish.
She's just lying. She's lying.
Bro, she's mid-sentence.
I'm lying.
Let her finish. finish. Go ahead, finish.
I was born and raised in America, but I lived in Iran for a year. I've lived in an environment where you're not allowed to protest or speak, okay? I appreciate the fact that we have that ability to do that in America. I don't think any person should die under any circumstance, whether it's black people protecting their fucking place or whether it's white people. I just don't think it's justifiable. Over property, I don't think it's justifiable. I don't care what kind of example you're going to bring to you, Destiny, to justify it. I don't think it's justifiable. To me, a building, you can rebuild a building. When you lose a life, you lose a life and you can never get that back. Joseph can never get his life back.
Black people never got the wealth back, and black people never got the wealth back that they lost when that city was destroyed.
Okay. I think you guys have fundamental disagreements.
No, we don't. Hold on, she's just a dumb.
You do.
I'm sorry.
We do.
No,
we do have fundamental.
She is fundamentally incapable of engaging with anything that's being said. It's not that we disagree. It's that she's in another world. Okay, sorry. Let other people talk. I'm good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just really dumb, and I just don't know anything.
You guys are all smart.
True statement. Finally, she tells the truth.
All right, Shark, help me here.
Yeah, that was sarcastic, Rob. If you knew anything, you would know that.
Shark. All right, fucking hell, I'm losing control of this panel. Holy shit. All right, first of all, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my channel, okay? Let's push me to over 10,000 subs. I'm going to use this opportunity. Shark, save us, please.
Sure. I mean, like, I mean, that's a position that you can hold, that you can, like, progressive, you can be like, no one, when it comes to property damage in and of itself, from like a policy or like legislative standpoint, we shouldn't allow people to use lethal force against that. In a lot of states, we have that already. There are exceptions like bombs and arson, because that can lead to a lot of like unintended death as well. So, I mean, I understand it, but I wanted to touch back on something that was kind of like, I feel like we're just moving like step to step, where it's like these like militia groups, and I would 100% push back on the fact that they're only there for just the property damage. I 100% agree that the property damage is a big driving factor to a lot of people feeling like they need to do this, like 100%. But that's, I really don't believe that's the vast majority of them that we've seen, especially because there have been studies that show that people like 3%ers, Proud Boys, and Oath Keepers are at like 85% of the armed protests that we had in 2020. All right. And those guys aren't there just for property damage. They're there for a lot of other political reasons. I feel, and then like blaming that on either like rioters and BLM, there is some blame to be had there. But the whole reason why we're having this entire conversation in the first place, I think, is because of the police system that we're under in the first place. And that can 100% be overblown in some specific cases, but we have seen this time and time again. Like years and years have passed for us to get to this point. And I don't want to like put all the blame on them, but like, I mean, yeah, like 100%, like you shouldn't be rioting.
Okay, DoctorRedPill, double hands up. That means it's his turn to speak.
I'm gonna let Rob go, but I really want to go, but I'm gonna let Rob go first.
Wait, you've had your hand up for so long. I feel bad for DoctorRedPill.
All right, so you two are at like a intractable disagreement. Like you have different axioms. I think the progressive Brat, you basically are saying you value human life like infinitely, and there's no circumstances in which property, like I think Destiny's worried about like this slippery slope where we establish a precedent where you can just burn buildings and we have no recourse. We can't even provide a deterrent. And it's going to like, that sets, society can't work that way. We're not going to like flourish and have like a lot of well-being if we let everyone burn down a building anytime any kind of like bad thing happens.
Do you think that there's ever justification to you know, for a group of people that have been protesting something for 20, 30 years and have gotten very little change to come out of it?
Peacefully protest, yeah, but just real quick, people don't get shot like directly over property. It's generally like this escalation that happens where Rittenhouse shows up to deter and he wants to defend himself, and people get agitated because he's putting out fires and they want to set more fires, and then they start to attack him, and like he doesn't fire over the property. They hate that he's there, and they get angry at him, and they chase him and try to attack him, and then they get shot. That's how this goes.
Kevin.
Yeah, Doctor, I was just going to...
and then Rob, you're
press further on that. Because Heem was asking, I think, about whether it's ever justified to use violence when you've exhausted peaceful options. So is there a situation in which this kind of activity would ever be justified?
Sorry, you mean the protests?
No, like rioting
or revolution or something like that.
Look, if you have issues with police and you want to like attack a police precinct or something, the government wants to stand down, that's somewhat different than people. You can understand private citizens and their livelihood being their small business, and they want to protect that and not have like unbelievable suffering like inflicted upon them. Like now they have to restart, just be poor now and restart everything. And like all your hard work is down the drain. That's like not a sustainable thing. If you want to do it to, I mean, it's horrible to do it to government.
Yeah, not sustainable, but I'm saying in instances of extremity, would that ever be justified in your eyes? So it's like a philosophical point rather than anything. But
to attack property?
Well, to take violent action.
That's a huge topic to go down.
May I chime in here? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
In our current system, there is no excuse on any issue whatsoever to engage in violence like this, period. If we can't agree that we can't engage in things with dialogue and things like that, and it's okay to resort to violence if your cause is just enough, well, guess what? You've just given everyone who thinks that they have a just cause excuse to commit violence.
Rob,
period. End of story.
How was America founded?
I don't give a shit. It was a different world back then, right? It's not the same as it was back then.
Rob,
are you claiming? Please, let me finish.
I'm making a philosophical point.
It was. Go ahead, please. You're just going to... Okay. One, it was a far different world back then, and we have more sophistication that we could deal with things in a less violent way. Second, if you're willing to say that Black Lives Matter is engaged in a violent revolution to overthrow the government, if that's what you want to say, that's what this is. Now,
No. I'm not comparing the two, Rob. I'm saying that there are situations in which violence is justified and things, and that people celebrate, like the 4th of July, for example.
Wait, Rob, can I ask you a question?
When you say, why do you say not in today's world? Like, I guess, what is the line that you're drawing here?
Because things are vastly different than they were when violence was a part of everyday life back in the American Revolution. There is no political issue, no matter how serious. If you think the election was stolen, if you think that the country is systemically racist, no, none of these come to even close to the bar that it's okay to go out and engage in violence. And I just want to be clear that we see person after person on here on the left make the excuse for this is why we need violence in this time. You saw the progressive Brat do it say your voice was up.
I can engage.
That's such a gated community.
Okay, let me
the idea that violence isn't a part of life is ridiculous.
I'm glad I triggered you so much, Rob.
Wait, one sec. So I would say, Rob, and listen, I'm not telling you my opinion. I think that probably this was a self-defense case. Okay, I'm just trying to represent both sides of the argument here. I think that a lot of people would say that the lives that marginalized people live in America every day is basically they face a form of violence. So like you're saying that life today is not as violent as it used to be, but I don't know if that's the case for everyone.
Well, it's not the violence to the level we used to see, but fine. I live in rural Pennsylvania with predominantly white people. They think that the systemic abuse that they face every day is a form of systemic violence against them. So when they decide that they're going to form a militia or something, Shark Zero will go, well, this seems like a violent white supremacist militia. We don't like this. But those people, if you talk to them in earnest, they'll say, my wages are going down. I had a job at the coal mine. It's been taken away with that. And not only is all this shit, but you keep talking about the narrative. We had these conversations, but nothing was getting fixed. So violence was needed. At least those conversations could happen. People in rural Pennsylvania and in rural America, they're told that they're the enemy. They're the problem.
Is there any reason to hope for democracy?
Wait, what are you? I'm confused what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about.
Time out, Rob. The coastal elite thing gets thrown around a lot as well. They're not real Americans.
Yeah. Let's go double-handed.
Everyone gets demonized.
It'd be nice to finish your point.
Wait, hang on. Sorry. Just to clarify.
You're not allowed to just filibuster, Rob. You don't just allowed to fucking ramble on for minutes at a time.
That's literally what everyone did for the past 30 minutes.
Okay, hang on.
Not me.
Let's take a breath.
Not Shark.
Okay, let's go to Shark, and then let's go to DoctorRedPill.
Well, you know what? Can I swap DoctorRedPill?
DoctorRedPill, you go first, then Shark.
Go on, bud.
Thank you. So to Kevin's question, I don't think it's the level of violence in past societies. To me, it's more about having a plan in place about how to make things better, not to just like, we don't like it, we're gonna go fuck shit up, like we're gonna go burn shit down. So like the revolution and how America was founded, they wanted independence and they had a plan to do it, they executed it, and they drew up a declaration and they made it happen. And then it's probably better that happened. Maybe that like the
flourishing of freedom. Massive. I'm not sure they had a well set out plan particularly, but it was pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I personally think that the demands that people are asking from police reform is not that high. Like to say, if you get fired from one police department, you probably shouldn't be able to get a job 30
that
miles
is
down.
not the demand. That's not even remotely close to the demand. Is like
the guy that doesn't believe in BLM knows all of the demands.
Okay, hang on, Destiny. What is the demand?
What are the demands, Rob?
That is.
No, I want to hear from Destiny. Wait 1 sec. No, I want to hear from Destiny. Go ahead.
I'm sure you
Destiny.
do.
No, because Rob, you're obviously opposed to this, but Destiny is someone who understands systemic violence.
No. I get it. You want it. That's fine. You want to have the conversation with Destiny. I would like to have a chance to be able to answer as well.
Okay.
But I'm sure I'll get cut off at 5 seconds in.
Okay,
as well.
go ahead. I'm gonna yield some of my time to Rob. Go, Rob. You give the first one to go.
All right, go ahead,
They're
Rob.
talking about things like they're saying things. All cops are bastard. Defund the police. We need to replace the police with domestic forces and things like that. The problem is this: because
refunding allocation.
Wait 1 second. Let him finish.
I never said that I don't believe Black Lives Matter exist. I said that the common defense that's given, for example, if we're saying that Black Lives Matter is just one monolithic group, then that means that the gentleman in Dallas that shot 5 police officers that was there with the Black Lives Matter group, that's Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter murdered 5 police officers. That's why I put it in quotes, because it's this amorphous thing. Some people say I'm with Black Lives Matter, but I'm totally against the violence. Some people say, no, I believe we need to use violence, like the progressive Brat here, that it's the language of the unheard. They haven't been heard, so we need to use violence. That's why I put it in quotes.
Wait,
now,
let
real
him
quick.
Hold on, take notes.
I'm gonna need to go after him, though.
Okay, take notes. Okay, let him finish.
Right, so the point is that because they have misidentified the problem and they said things like, see, the shooting of Jacob Blake, that was police foaming at the mouth, killing unarmed black men. See, Michael Brown, that's police foaming at. What happens is when you sell your story on a lie, then the solution that you're going to come up with isn't within reality, right? So there are reasonable changes that we could be talking about, but instead we're saying things like, all cops are bastard, defund the police, they murdered Jacob Blake, now we need to go burn down a city. That doesn't help the situation.
True.
Okay, all right. Let's go to Ariana. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll wait. It's just
so first of all, like I said, I was born and raised in the U.S., but I lived in Iran for a year. I've lived under a regime like the Islamic Republic. In no shape or form will I ever justify taking a life over a building, okay? I am not justifying arson. I am not saying that I value human life over a building. All I'm saying is that I have lived in a government that inherently says that's okay. I've seen it. I've lived it. Rob, I know you haven't, but just hear me out here, okay? And I personally don't want to go through that again. If I wanted to, I would just move back to Iran, okay? It's just that simple.
Wait, why the fuck? Wait, hold on. Why the fuck did you come to the United States then? Of all the countries you could have gone to, if that's going to be like your criteria.
She was born here. No,
I was born and raised in America. I just lived in Iran for a year.
Oh, okay. Then go to a European country.
Did you not listen to what I said?
Half of it is just like complete like dipshittery. So I'm coming.
Yeah, because you're not fucking listening, Dustin.
I am, but like you you brought up this relevant point about you being in Iran.
Can I just speak again, Sophia? You keep mansplaining me. Can I please speak? Don't mansplain me, Destiny.
She's calling me.
Yeah, he is. He is. I'm the only woman on this panel. He's literally calling me off.
Heem, I want to be clear. I am reporting you for transphobia. Okay, I am non-binary. Correct her. I do not like to be referred to as mansplaining.
I know you're non-binary. I did research on you.
Okay, so
don't worry about that.
So you can Heem, if she wants to use that insult, if she wants to use it, she has to use the term themsplaining.
I have to mute. I'm sorry, Destiny, I had to mute you. All right. I had to mute you. I just want to get a little bit of control, okay? I know it's very heated, okay? I love the passion, all right? This is awesome. I love it. But let's just chill a little bit, take a deep breath, okay? And then we'll get going again. Okay. So, Ariana, I'm going to unmute you, okay? You can finish your point. I think your point was about the... you can go ahead and finish your point, and then we can have Destiny respond after. I just don't like people talking over top of each other. That's my only issue, and yeah, go ahead.
All I'm saying is I don't want to live in a world where 17-year-olds can just pick up their AR-15 and just do, even if it's in self-defense. I don't feel comfortable with that. That's all I'm saying. I think that human life takes over a building, point blank, period. That's just what I think. Now, Destiny, Rob, if we disagree, then we disagree. That's fine. That's the point of being on a panel. But for you to just keep saying, like, I'm not justifying arson. I'm just saying that I believe that human life is not replaceable. Replacing a building is replaceable no matter how long the insurance claim will take. Okay. That's first. Yeah, that's what I have to say. Anyways, I'm gonna yield my floor. I just see it because Rob, I know I trigger you, Rob, and you keep bringing me up, so I just have to respond back to you. You know?
Okay. All right. So the thing that I'm gonna reiterate again here and going back is that, like, when people's you guys are saying that like there's this massive demand from BLM, like like getting rid of the police force, I think that's like a rhetorical conclusion that has come from. Well, let me just finish. So I think that's just like a rhetorical conclusion.
Don't let him fucking mansplain what BLM wants to. Keep talking.
Shut up, Destiny. Shut up.
Yeah.
I think that this is like a rhetorical conclusion of unaddressed things. Destiny, do you disagree with that?
I think she could have explained that just well enough. I don't know why you feel the need to do it for her.
Answer the question, bro. Do you agree or disagree? Hang on, wait, I want to hear what Destiny has to say. I'm going to hold your feet to this. Do you agree or disagree, Destiny?
That if it's a rhetorical technique, it's the most garbage one in the
world.
Not
a rhetorical technique, a rhetorical conclusion from something that has gone unaddressed for decades. We can't even get police reform.
It says what I said earlier. The reason why we can't get police reform is for a large combination of factors. Well, the biggest one is because it has to happen on the local level, and people don't vote in local elections. That's the number one reason why police reform doesn't happen.
I'll agree with him on that.
Let him finish. Don't speak.
Now I feel like I might be wrong on that opinion if she's agreeing with it. Holy shit.
Go ahead.
Oh my God, Destiny. Your whole career is fucking ruined.
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said it. Okay, but I'm just saying that like that's the number one. So, but the problem is when people get mad and they don't know what they're mad at, or they start demanding things, they don't know what they're demanding, right? The whole defund movement was a fucking catastrophe. It was a catastrophe in terms of effect on policy. It was a catastrophe in terms of effect on the Democratic Party and elections. And it's been a catastrophe moving forward in terms of getting people to have good conversations about what we should do with police precincts. Because now that we tried, in a lot of towns, we tried some defund shit and it fucking failed miserably. Now it's going to be that much more difficult to have a conversation on what type of reforms do the police need. Because the people that were advocating for them prior to this had no good fucking ideas. Like fucking Minneapolis, they had on the ballot whether or not they should get rid of the fucking police department.
Yeah.
So Destiny, your problem with this movement. So just to clarify, the problem with the movement is that you're saying there's not enough specific like demands that will improve things?
Yes. So in order to fix any problem, you need to know what the problem is. Identification is step one. And if you can't accurately identify it, you're never going to fix it.
So let me just say, if I can,
go ahead, Rob.
Real quick, I think there's a fundamental, I'm going to try to be as nice as possible. I think Progressive Brat has a fundamental misunderstanding, right? She's saying no one should die for property, right? But here's the thing. Kyle Rittenhouse didn't say, I'm going to kill this guy because I think he's going to destroy this car. That's not what happened. Kyle Rittenhouse said, I think that we shouldn't be burning down this community, and I'm going to be there to stop. Then in the course of that, as Dr. Redpill said earlier, there was an escalation, right? It sounds to me like if you want to talk about, I don't want to live in Iran, if we're talking about people
Iran,
allowed to defend, I don't give a shit. I'll say what I want.
Clearly you don't give a shit.
I have to mute you. Sorry. Let me finish. It's okay.
What does she mean, my country? I thought she said she was American.
Yeah.
Okay. Chill. Okay, just make your point. You don't just go ahead.
I am. Real quick. I don't want to be word policed by someone who didn't even have the courtesy to ask Destiny his pronouns. So please,
no,
thank you, Rob.
Listen. So real quick, stop. Listen. You guys are being sarcastic dickheads.
We're not being sarcastic. Oh, my gender is a sarcastic issue for you now.
You're being a sarcastic dickhead, bro. You know exactly what you're doing. Shut the fuck up.
Wait, honestly, hold on, Destiny. I did my research on you, and it said that you are non-binary, but you also go by he, him.
That doesn't mean I referred to as a man for mansplaining. I them-splain to people, not mansplain.
Okay.
That's
okay.
If I can finish my point.
What is happening? Okay, finish your point, Rob, quick.
Right. So the point is, I think it would be more like Iran or a country like that to say people have no right to defend their family or their house or their property whatsoever. Because if you defend your property, it could escalate, which would result in a death. And it's never worth a death. Therefore, if someone wants to come into your house and say, I own all of this shit now, goodbye, you have to let them do it because it would never be worth standing up to them because it could escalate and lead to a death. That sounds more like Iran than what we're talking about right now.
Okay, I think that there should be things in place whereby you would be able to not have to kind of, I think like having insurance, for example, right? Like let's say your building is on fire. You're not at liberty to put out that fire. There's firefighters, there's insurance, and you're not going to necessarily have to risk your life for that piece of for that property. And I think there should be things in place whereby no human life has to be pitted up against a piece of property.
If I can, real quick, I just know that I'm going to say something that's going to piss everyone else. I guarantee that the lefties here, if it was the opposite, if the Oath Keepers say, you know what, fuck it, we're going into inner city Chicago and we're burning down some black people's houses and we're going to take their shit. I fucking know that there is no way that the people in this panel would be like, well, those black people just leave the police stand down, leave the firefighters stand down. We don't want to see black people show up with fire extinguishers. We all know that that's the truth. The reality of this situation is you're actually right, Heem. We should have had the police doing something, but because of the pressure that was put on by leftists in the Democratic Party and our media, it made it so that these mayors and these governors didn't want the National Guard, didn't want the police, and instead they said, just let them riot. And human nature is people are only going to put up with that shit for so long. And they're right to only put up with it for so long.
Did you defend did you I don't actually know your opinion on this, but did you defend the January 6th or whatever?
January 6th, it was 6th.
Yeah.
January 6th.
Yeah, did you defend those people?
I did a video 1 hour in before they even broke into the White House, or I'm sorry, the Capitol, saying anyone engaged in violence there ought to be summarily arrested.
Does going into
Rob, I have a question.
Wait, one sec. Does going into the Capitol count, even if they weren't beating people down or breaking doors?
The people that went into the Capitol and didn't engage in violence should have been given the same.
No, what if they didn't engage in violence? They just went in.
Let me finish.
Yeah,
those people that didn't engage in violence that went into the Capitol should be given the same penalty that was given to the people that entered the Capitol under the Kavanaugh hearing.
I don't know.
Oh, so you just played just fucking silly games.
What does that mean? Sorry, I'm unfamiliar.
If you committed the crime of trespassing, you should get the penalty of trespassing. If you committed the crime of fighting with police, you should get the crime of fighting with police. The idea that we see so many people that want to blow up what January 6th was and treat everyone there as an insurrectionist is fucking laughable.
Just like, yes, laughable. You defended them then. You think they were just
I didn't defend people engaged in violence.
Okay, cool. So but basically the point is you're a hypocrite is the point I'm making.
Okay, Kevin Logan, what's the penalty for the people that went into the Capitol but didn't engage in violence? What should they be charged with? Treason?
Well, hang on, no, going in there I think is in of itself an act of violence. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I got a question. Hypothetically, I'm curious. Let's say hypothetically, I'm just totally pulling this on my ass. Let's say some women went in and did a sit-in in some like senator's office or whatever in order to protest what was going on with the Kavanaugh hearings. Should they have all been arrested?
Were they trying to like overthrow American democracy?
So just to be clear, you're providing a second qualification now, which I think Rob kind of did the exact same thing of. He said if somebody went in and was engaged in violence, and now you're saying, well, just going in isn't enough. It's if they go in and they were...
Rob thinks that them trying to literally stop the democratic process of Trump losing the election and being fucking kicked out.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is going to make a lot of people mad. I'm sorry, but you need to understand something about numbers of people, okay? If you think the majority of the people there were actually trying to do that and all they managed to do was like kill, like one woman got shot by the cops, you're fucking delusional, right? If all those people were there to overthrow the fucking
hang on. What percentage of them have to be trying to do that? And how do you know what's in those people's heads?
Percent?
Well, what do you think they were there for then?
From what I've heard, right? I think most of the people probably showed up to protest because they were fucking mad, and then shit got riled up. They were probably almost for sure, I would say, some genuine bad actors there that had fantasies of invading the fucking Capitol and shit. Now, I think I heard from the FBI that it was like 5% or less had some plan to do something. Even that number sounds a little bit high because 5% of however many thousand people, there's a lot of people. But I don't think every single person who went there, their goal was to destroy the White House or destroy the Capitol building and take it over. But because if they were, we would have saw way more shit. Much the same, if we back up more macro, when we talk about like, oh, these militiamen, they're only going there to oppose BLM and shoot protesters. If that was true, you'd see way more motherfuckers dead. You'd see so many more people dead than just the two people that Kyle shot in self-defense, not over defensive property.
And real quick, two comparisons. One with Kavanaugh, they were trying to stop a democratic process, the way our republic is set up, of Kavanaugh being confirmed. That's what they were trying to do. And second, people forget that May 30th and 31st, 2020, we had a bunch of people storm the White House, burn a guard station down with Molotov cocktails, and try to enter the White House to physically remove Donald Trump from the presidency. We don't call that an insurrection, and I don't even think that everyone that was in D.C. protesting that day. That's right. Isn't that a fucking shame that you have
the problem.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
I would say, hang on. I would say the scale of these two things are probably not the same.
They're way different.
I can explain that as well.
Yeah,
It's not the topic. Yeah. But the reason that the scale is different is because we actually knew that the people that showed up in D.C. on the 30th were going to engage in violence, so there was an appropriate amount of police response there. But for some reason, which we haven't got to the bottom of, we know that both the mayor and Nancy Pelosi, Sergeant-at-Arms, didn't want National Guard there. Trump wanted National Guard there. But whoever was at fault, there wasn't enough protection protection on January 6th, and it's fucking ludicrous. There should have been enough protection. But the only thing that separated that incident from May 30th was that the police were able to stop the people trying to break into the White House. And those people were more well-armed. They had Molotov cocktails that they were throwing. There were dozens of police officers hurt in that situation. Yet we don't hear about that insurrection. In fact, you know what we hear? Trump was a bunker bitch. He had to hide in his bunker. That's what the left said about that. They made fun of Trump. Meanwhile, AOC is venerated as a PTSD survivor because of what happened. These double standards are fucking ridiculous.
Okay. We're getting
AOC is a PTSD survivor. She literally had to. No, hold on. She had to hide in her closet.
No. Okay, chill. Everybody chill. I don't want to go into a whole January 6th thing. This is not about January 6th. I think if we end up going in this route, we're going to end up fucking going for another 3 hours.
Can I just say
how much longer is
also,
this
Republic and democracy are not the same thing.
Okay.
You know that, right?
Okay. So then they weren't trying to steal our democracy? Is that what you're saying?
Rob, chill,
on January
chill,
6th, they weren't trying to steal our democracy?
Chill. Everybody chill. Okay, I have one more.
Know what Republican democracy is, bro.
Oh my goodness. Okay, everybody chill. Okay, I had to mute Ariana.
I
had to mute Rob. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you guys having fun? Give me a thumbs up if you're having fun so far. We're good? We're good? All right. Shark, no thumbs up. And
I give you a thumbs up.
Well, I was just gonna ask how much longer this is gonna go. I don't mind. I'm just wondering because it's like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh shit. All right. We'll wrap up. Let's say another 20 minutes. And then
yeah. Cool, man.
Wait.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Shark.
Okay. So Rob, I don't know. I just thought it was weird because you mentioned again that I say that every single militia that goes out there is apparently like white supremacists or white nationalists, which I think is super weird since I even made the distinction that I said that these people can go out there without that thing in their head. But you claim that almost every single one of these riots were specifically because of or it's even looting was specifically under the BLM umbrella, but you won't give the same credence to a lot of these militias. But okay, that's interesting. Oh, there was one thing that I want to mention a little bit, which was
is someone crackling something? Sorry.
That is not me.
I hear crackling. I don't know if it's you're touching your mic maybe or something like that. I don't know. Do you guys anywhere else hear that?
It's gone now, but I didn't.
It was Kevin. He did it. It was Kevin. I saw it.
You eating chips? Eating chips there, bud? You hungry?
Me? No, I was muted. It wasn't me. I was muted.
Sure. All right, go ahead. Finish your point. Sorry to interrupt.
I do think okay. So I disagree with the messaging of defund the police, but I do think there was there were definitely some good ideas that were under like the defund movement. It was more like move police funds around to different social services that can do a lot of great work. Now, maybe the one in Minneapolis went a little too far. But it's something that's just coming up and a lot of people are going a little too far. And I mean, I can 100% understand that. I don't think that's too insane, especially since there are a lot of good movements that came out of that. There's like Cahoots in Eugene, Oregon. They did a great process in Dallas with a lot of social workers as well. Taking over around like 20% of the calls that police would take for some, especially when it deals with like people with mental health and people with homeless people as well, that would be dealt with the police. That turned out way better. So there were some good ideas under there. I don't think we should just throw the entire thing out, especially when we see that some things have worked.
I agree.
No one's saying that throw the entire thing out, right? The problem is specifically the rioting. Like, and what I'm saying, and I know Destiny's more on the left than me, like, but I'm telling you that I actually think there are real things that we need to reform with law enforcement. And I understand that there are people, just like in my community, there are people that feel left behind. In cities, there are people that feel left behind. These are real fucking problems, of course. The problem is when we allow falsities like Jacob Blake, that the entire media for clicks or whatever is like, yeah, he was murdered by police, which pisses people off to the point where they engage in violence, which then upsets the other side that says we're not willing to listen to these people. That's the problem. It's specifically the violence is the problem. And I think that I don't understand if I don't know if the progressives understand this. When whatever that study was that came out that said only 93% of Black Lives Matter rallies were violent. Well, of course, there was one in my little town. Of course,
wait, only 93%.
He meant 93% were peaceful. He meant peaceful.
Peaceful.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
The problem, no one gives a shit about those. Like, no one's upset about that. It's the 7%. 7%. And that study that said that there were 245 instances of violence. That's more than 4 per state. Like, how many cities are in your state? If more than 4 per state had instances of violence, that's a huge problem. Billions of dollars in damage. Dozens of people killed, like David Dorn, like the nameless person that was killed in Minneapolis that burnt in the pawn shop in the first night that was.
All right, then we don't have to.
This shit is real.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, it is the violence is real. But you're attributing all of that to BLM, and I really just don't think that we should at all. Well, there's these what are you? You're shaking your head.
Let him finish.
You're shaking your head.
You let him finish. He hasn't even spoken.
Ariana, wait. I'll mod. Sorry,
even though you didn't look into almost any of these militias that I said that I brought up, where they go with they're there with armed protests. They do an armed protest against BLM, which agitates more, which adds some more violence. So you can say, like, at these 100%, those BLM demonstrations did turn violent, but you can't just say that was all because of just BLM.
Okay, wait, can I ask a point of question? I have a really important point of question. So I agree with you 100%. But how can you simultaneously say that you cannot attribute all violence that happens in an area to BLM, but then say that every person that shows up to oppose that violence is opposing all of BLM? You can't have that both ways.
I don't think I said that. Did I say that?
You might not have, because you seem like pretty reasonable. But when the broader conversation is anybody that shows up to oppose any amount of BLM violence is there to oppose all of BLM. But then when violence happens for BLM, people are like, well, that doesn't represent all of BLM. That can't be both ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, if there once, like I said, I think I said it, that there are groups of people who do show up because they just saw the they were really mad just because of the rioting. That's 100% happens. Mm-hmm. And I don't think literally all of them should be called like white nationalists, white supremacists. I think I just said that I can understand like a person just looking at what happened and be like, they may be connected to that group. I can see you saying that.
On that same token, I can
understand like people looking at the BLM, looking at the violence that happened at those BLM protests and say that that's probably because of BLM.
Okay, sure. That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. All right, DoctorRedPill, double hands up means he's got to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are these word games that are being played where, like, it's not BLM, like, exactly, but it's BLM related, and it's sparked by outrage, like, related to the BLM sphere. Same way, like, CRT, like, is it taught in schools? I don't know CRT, but it's, like, it's rhetoric that sort of coincides with CRT, and it's sort of like people of color and white people and the interactions. We use these terms, like, as a catch-all, like an umbrella term. So when we say like BLM, it's BLM related. It's like related to the outrage that just happened in the news that the media like put on blast and people got outraged over.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to move the topic really quickly. 2 more quick things I wanted your all's opinion about. I've heard Destiny's take on this. That's why I brought it up. What do you guys think about the idea of protesting after dark? And so on and so forth. I guess Destiny, you can go ahead first since I know you have a position on this.
I think, in my opinion, when people start breaking curfew and you protest after dark, I think it's a really bad idea because a lot of bad stuff happens. I did get an email from somebody that explained, and her explanation, which I thought was an interesting one, I still don't agree with it, but her explanation was that some people like to protest after dark because of anything that's caught on camera. People don't want their face to be seen and to experience like repercussions and stuff at work or maybe with friends or family, which I can kind of buy, but I still think that all in all, protesting after dark is just, it sets you up for so many bad things. Like that's when all the bad stuff happens typically, is like at night, and I don't think it's worth the cost.
Do you think that it can stress the severity of the protest to stay after dark? Like, listen, this is no joke. Like, we're not leaving and coming back tomorrow. It's not something we can put on the back burner. It's something that needs to be addressed. We're going to protest until it's addressed.
So people keep saying this, and I'll say this, and this has just been borne out time and time again. Like, protests don't have to get violent or get like super crazy in order for people to notice them, right? You have a better shot if you are protesting and it's morning and your protesters are getting roughed up by police and shit for no good fucking reason. That shit is really powerful politically for you. It is so good. But the second you start setting cities on fire, the popularity with that shit will tank like a motherfucker. And we've seen this happen historically. It gave us Nixon after the MLK riots. It gave us like the arguably the thin lead that we have now in Congress might be due to all of the BLM stuff and the rioting and the ACAB and all that shit. So like it just doesn't bode well to get violent. It hurts your movement so much.
Okay. And then I want to ask Shark. I saw Shark, you had a tweet about how you think that like both sides should be armed. What do you guys think about like armed protests in general? I'm a Canadian. I think it's fucked up that you guys have so much, like guns are such a big part. I understand that like I can't apply my own standards to America. I'm just wondering, Shark, you had that take about the if those guys can show up and protect property that's in their community, then I think BLM protesters can show up with guns and protect their protest.
Based.
It's so scary.
Absolutely based.
I was gonna say I'm with Heem on this. I think it's sad that America has such a issue with guns and stuff. But I've said before, if I did live in America, I'd have to own a gun because other people have fucking guns. So like you have to be able to defend yourself, and you can't realistically otherwise. It's
a lot of people talk about like the security paradox there. Like obviously, I mean, you're protesting, and then there could be like a militia that comes, and then you feel threatened. And we've seen actually this before, where those where people who are open carrying, who are opposed to BLM, show up, and then the Second Amendment then silences the First Amendment, and so those people don't feel comfortable going out into the street anymore to do any more protests. And there have been many cities across the country where BLM protests have dried up because of that. So
that's
outrageous.
No.
What?
No. Why would they? Because they fear people constitutionally
shooting them?
Engaging in their okay. Well,
I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest, Rob. I wouldn't show up to a protest if I thought counter protesters there are gonna have fucking guns.
Like you show up to a BLM protest and then some like random dudes in like fucking military gear with like massive rifles are just looking at you and then saying that you're evil, saying that you're a piece of shit, saying that you're trying to burn down the city. And like, yeah, I can 100% see like a normal person being like, yeah, I don't want to come back out here anymore.
It's so their constitutionally.
So I just want to say personally, I think that it might be less lethal to have. I think it might be even better to have one side armed and the other side unarmed, because there's like a clear understanding here of like you can't like overstep the boundary. I think that like when you have both sides armed, you're kind of opening it up to like any quick like some sudden noise might scare someone, and then like shit can pop off.
No, I think the best solution would probably be like the police, who we already give the.
Go ahead, Shar? Yeah, go ahead.
I think the best thing would be like the police to be able to control some of these situations. We already have them to have the monopoly on violence already. If they can shut down people who are going crazy, then there's no need for anybody to have any guns on them. But I don't trust. When I was in Louisville, I didn't trust the LMPD to take care of protesters. I'm sorry, I just don't. And I think a lot of other BLM protesters don't feel comfortable in that as well. And you know what? A lot of those militias don't feel comfortable with allowing the police to just take control of property damage or something, okay? So, I mean, it's perfectly fine strategic sense for you to want to get armed. I can 100% see that, because if not, if someone starts spraying into your crowd, there's nothing that you can really do about it.
Okay.
So just go ahead, Rob, and then I want to start wrapping up. So we'll go like maybe 5 more minutes. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Go ahead.
Okay. If people have the constitutional right to carry firearms, then they should be allowed to do it. I don't care if they're with BLM or with the people. Now, the irony of all of this is, first, Shark just makes the absolute most salient point. The reason that people feel the need to show up armed and do something is because the people that control the narrative in this country allowed or celebrated or ignored riots occurring over and over and over and over again on the left. That's why people had to take it into their own hands. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, why won't these Democrats, these mayors, use the police to stop this? And they didn't. And I had a conversation with Destiny about this, which he agreed, because they were allowing it to go because they thought it benefited them politically, because they thought they could say this hurts Trump, that's good, or they could say, see, we're holding the police back because we agree with you that they're white supremacists or they're bad or something like that. That's what happened. Now, the other thing that I'll say is, if you are against the Second Amendment and you're against people wanting to defend themselves, this Rittenhouse shit, what happened in Kenosha, is the best advertisement for people arming themselves that you could ask for, because we saw the police stand down. We saw the riots occur over and over. We saw the governor of Wisconsin say we refuse to accept the National Guard. And Rittenhouse, if he wouldn't have had a gun that was able to hold as many rounds as he did, he'd be dead right now. He would. Only because he exercised his Second Amendment right. That was the only protection he had. The police weren't going to help him.
You don't think there was any agitation from having that kind of weapon just walking around?
It should be the opposite. It should be.
Can I ask a question?
No, and this is amazing. This is great, because there are lots of places that have banned open carry during protests. I think that's amazing. The way that people use those guns and what?
Why? Why is
because
that?
Because the way that people use those guns and the implicit threat that of that weapon there does 100% provoke people and make situations worse. They just do. It's not saying that you can't carry a gun. You can still conceal carry if you want. You just can't open carry. It just makes the situation worse. You keep saying why. It makes the situation worse. And we can go over this any
do you think he would have been attacked the same way if he wasn't
We know
armed?
that you add more guns, it makes things worse. I'm sorry, but we can't just like 100% ban guns, but we can ban open carry, which does make things worse.
Do you believe that he would have been attacked if he wasn't armed?
One sec.
Like, honestly, honest question.
One sec. So, Rob, I want you to answer, but I want you to address Shark's question and Ariana's question at the same time. Go ahead, Ariana.
Sure.
So I have a couple questions. Number one, do you think that he would have been attacked the same way if he wasn't armed? And number two, when we allow open carry on either side to a protest, you really start to threaten the whole idea that we live in a republic and we're allowed to freely protest. Because honestly, most people, if you hear that fucking 17-year-old vigilantes are going out there with AR-15s or whatever the fuck rifle, they get kind of turned off by the protest. Not gonna lie.
Just don't attack them.
Oh wait, hang on. Wait. So,
can I speak?
Yeah.
Destiny, you don't cut anyone else off but me. Like, let me speak real quick.
No, he cuts everyone off. Don't worry, he cuts everyone off. He cuts everyone off. But go ahead, Ariana.
Anyways.
So yeah, do you think Rob? Do you think? Yeah, let's hear Rob. Okay, so Rob, do you think he would have been attacked the same way if he didn't have a gun?
Yeah, her 2 points contradict each other, right? Her first point is, well, by having the gun, it escalated, and the second point is people are more reserved if someone's open carrying and less likely to protest. Right? The truth is, if you are open carrying as opposed to concealed carrying, that's the biggest signal. Don't fuck with me. Don't come at me. Don't charge me. Don't try to hit me with a skateboard. And yet they did. Right? That Rosenbaum, there's no evidence that he attacked Rittenhouse because he had a gun. The evidence seems to suggest he attacked Rittenhouse because Rittenhouse was trying to put out, or at least suggesting he was going to put out, the fires that Rosenbaum was setting.
That's why how is he going to put out the fire?
He was running towards. I don't know what he was going to do exactly. What's the point?
No, he was apparently an EMT and a nursing student too.
Because I'm a man? You only interrupt me because I'm a man? Is that what it is?
All right, fuck this.
You have literally been taking over this whole entire debate, Rob. You have literally been talking over everybody.
I'm finished. All right. Listen,
what are you saying right now?
I'm done.
You love to hear yourself speak, dude.
I do. You're right.
You do. It's very clear.
Can I ask one question for finality?
Please, Doctor. No more questions. No more questions.
Please.
I've muted.
Wait, not even from DoctorRedPill? He's only talked like 3 times.
No. Every single one of you except for, I think Kevin right now is still unmuted. But everyone else is muted. Okay, I'm sick of this. I'm tired. Everyone's had enough.
Wait, can we still hear each other?
Around in circles. It's been fun. It's been heated. I want to go into closing statements. You can make a closing statement on this one, and you can plug your socials and your channel and whatever, and let's wrap it up, okay? So it was fun. I want to first of all thank each and every single one of you for coming on. I knew that this was going to be a testy and heated panel, okay? So I appreciate it. I know maybe, Destiny, you were offended that you were misgendered or whatever. I apologize formally, okay? Yeah, first of all, if you haven't yet, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, let's get me to 10,000 tonight. All right. And I want to again thank you all for coming. I know some people say that like I chime in too much as a moderator, but you can go fuck yourself. What do you want me to say? Okay, let's go around and do closing statements. I want to hear from DoctorRedPill, and then you can also plug your channel or whatever, your 2K fucking NBA 2K you play. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Go ahead.
I got nothing to plug. I just have one question.
Oh, wait, hang on. Okay, go ahead now.
Nothing to plug. I just have one question for everybody. Maybe you can answer in your closing statement. Is Rittenhouse, if you were a juror, is Rittenhouse guilty or not guilty?
Okay, fair enough. And did you have fun on the panel? Do you have any opinions? That's it?
No, it was great. Thanks for the invite. It was super fun.
No worries. All right, let's go to Shark. You can answer DoctorRedPill's question. You can make your closing statement on this topic and whatever else you want. Go ahead.
Sure. I guess to answer the question, I didn't watch the trial. I personally don't give a shit. Okay. It seems boring as fuck. And I just got on new ADHD medicine. I'm still working into it. Okay. I can't sit still through that shit. And I'm not doing it. But I mean, when it comes to being a juror, it's way different than being a member of the public. You have very specific rules on how you will decide that case. And so, you know, it has very little to do with how I personally think a lot of the time. I think a lot of these problems are incredibly multifaceted, and we need to make sure that we deal with them as such. Moving into the future, I'd really love to see my people in my political sphere have really poignant thoughts. I think like we're already on the left. I think we're already pretty right. So I think that
correct,
with that, what?
You were pretty correct.
Yes, we're pretty correct. Left is best. Left is best. Okay. So we don't need to make anything up. We don't need to exaggerate anything. We can just push our politics, and in time, I think we will get there. The country's been moving left as we go on. All right. So I think that's about as much as I want to add. My name is Shark300. That's the word shark, the number 3, the letter O, and the word 0. I do political memes, commentary videos. They do pre-recorded videos as well. And we play games sometimes too. You should check out our Gamba night. We're playing Mario Kart.
Jeez. All right, Shark. Thank you so much. I really always appreciate your takes. Level-headed Shark. Thank you so much. All right, let's go over to Rob Noerr. Go ahead, Rob. Thank you for coming on. Sorry I had to cut you off a few times. I hope you understand. Like you said, you love to hear your own voice, but maybe other people don't love to hear it as much as you do. So I had to cut you off sometimes. Go ahead.
I would agree with that. Other people probably don't like it as much as me. But if it's between me or the progressive Brat, I bet 95 would pick me. Anyways,
no. Listen, fucking hell, bro. I go ahead and fucking plug.
You know what? Genuinely, it literally makes my day that I trigger you so much that every single time you speak, you have to bring me up. Like, I'm literally sitting here on my phone unbothered as fuck, and you keep bringing my name up. So it's based as fuck that you are so triggered by me. I live to trigger Republicans and right side people like you, so thank you, honestly.
Let's see
ahead,
if
Rob.
I can get through this. I'm triggered so much. Let's see if I'll be able to get through this closing statements. He's not guilty. I did watch I watched a large portion of this trial. He is not guilty based on the facts, and it's appeared that would be the case unless something radically changed since we first saw this footage. Look, I'll just say this, like, you could say that the country's moving left, and in many ways that could be true. On some issues left, on some issues right. But I say this in all sincerity, not joking around. If the mentality that people on this panel have showed is allowed to be labeled as speaking for the left, you're going to get crushed. Because this idea that everyone's racist that disagrees and you shouldn't be allowed to defend your property, and if you're doing the okay sign, that's racist. People are done with this shit. And people are waking up to see how the media misrepresented this, and they're going to start to realize that the media is misrepresenting shit all the time. And they're doing so to cause division in this country, and they're doing so because they have a political agenda and they have a monetary agenda to do so. So I think that if you better hope that a voice like Destiny is the voice that wins out, as opposed to the progressive voice that wants to shout racism around every corner and say that Rittenhouse is a murderer and was fake crying and shit like that, because it's going to cause significant losses for you in the future. And I'm all for it as a right winger. So my name's Rob Noerr. You can find me predominantly on Twitch TV. It's as it's spelled, all lowercase, Rob Noerr. I'm on YouTube at Normal America with Rob Noerr. I stream almost every weeknight around 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for having me.
All right, bro. Thank you very much. Even though I'm not a fan of fucking name calling anybody, okay? You did it, she did it, everybody fucking did it. Who gives a shit? All right, let's go over to Progressive Brat. I guess let's hear you. You can weigh in on this topic. You can plug your socials. This is your chance. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Whether I think he's guilty or not, I think that's for the court to decide. I honestly believe in, innocent until proven guilty, and the court system is still doing its thing. I do want to hear the whole trial until I come up with that opinion. Personally, I don't think lives should be lost at a protest, and a 17-year-old should be holding a rifle and acting like a vigilante, but that's just my opinion. We can go into the argument of Second Amendment, but I just don't think it's worth a life or two lives in this situation being taken. And yeah, my name is the Progressive Brat. I am on all social media. Actually, it's the same on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I live stream every single night. I also host guest live streams as well, and I go on debates regularly on live, but I usually do that on different platforms on Twitch. But I will be active on Twitch soon. Thanks so much, Heem, for having me. Destiny, I do genuinely want to apologize for misgendering you. I did Google you, and I did... No, I'm being honest to God.
Come on, Destiny, you gotta have respect for that.
I did. No. Can I just speak really quick? I genuinely did Google you, and I did know that you are non-binary, but I did also read that you do go by the pronouns he, him. So I do want to apologize if by me saying you were mansplaining me, it was offensive. I do genuinely want to apologize for that. Everything else I said, though, I meant it. So thank you, and have a great night, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right, Destiny, do you accept her apology?
I accept it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can all come together. Isn't that lovely?
No, absolutely not. Holy fuck. I think that there's a lot of fucking stupid shit on this panel. The progressive Brat obviously is on like crazy shit, but we couldn't get in that much into it. Same thing with Kevin, who also believes in crazy shit. My name's Destiny. I'm on Twitch. If you want somebody to actually look at all the facts of a case before deciding what's going on, or without coming to crazy conclusions, or without concluding that every single person in the country is either a white nationalist or a white supremacist or a racist person, whatever. Yeah, I do politics on Twitch and YouTube at Destiny.
Destiny, do you think you've been on these panels a lot? Do you think I moderated okay?
I think you did an okay job. You have a challenging job before you, my friend.
All right. Yeah, anytime you fucking come on, it's going to be a challenging job.
Hey, other people made this hard too, okay?
It's true. Let's go to Kevin. Go ahead.
I'm Kevin Logan. You can find me at KFLogan1875 here on Twitch. In terms of whether Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty, I dare say it's going to be a struggle to get that case through in the courts, but that's the way it goes, I suppose, whatever. Just to what Rob said about the idea that we should want the voice of the man who said that redneck militias should mow down, or he was okay with redneck militias mowing down dipshit protesters, that should be the voice of the left that wins out. You're a clown.
Wait, the person who said that, or Rob is a clown?
Both of us,
Rob
I think, are clowns. There's enough makeup for the both of us.
Said it in the first place, though, but whatever.
This guy who says I'm a fascist, yeah, that one.
I didn't call you. When have I called you a fascist? When did I say that?
It was in your YouTube title. Destiny goes full fash.
Okay. I think you can go full fash without being a fash. All right, listen, Kevin, plug your socials.
At KFLogan1875 here on Twitch, and Kurt Logan on YouTube, on Twitter, but that's not actually my real name. It's just a burner account because I'm going to get banned again, probably.
All right. Listen, I want to thank you all so much. I had a fucking great time. It was a bit challenging. I personally hate name calling and stuff. Okay.
Dude, you sold that first topic so well. Like, congrats, man. That was beautifully done.
Travis Scott should go to prison. I don't give a fuck what you guys say. Okay. I'll stand by that. And on that note, I want to say thank you. Make sure to check me out on YouTube. I am Heem, twitch.tv/Heem. Thank you all so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad we can leave on good terms, okay? Everyone have a fantastic night.
Yeah, take care.
Take care, brush your hair, and don't forget to sit in a chair. Bye, guys.
Hey, Destiny.
Hey, what's up?
Listen, no matter what people say, I don't care, okay? You raised me to be the young man that I am today.
Oh, God.
Without you and Vosh, I wouldn't be who I am.
Well, hopefully
without you guys, I would be alone.
Some point in the middle, because we are definitely diametrically opposed on a lot of shit we believe in. So,
all right. Well, listen,
we love it.
Thank you guys all.
Team, your show's over. Okay, stop cutting us off.
Oh, sorry. I'm not moderating anymore.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Destiny, what did you have for? What were you eating before? Just
some Asian food or something.
Looks bomb. I'm fucking hungry now.
You allowed to say Asian food now?
Oh yeah, wait. Is that racist that I said that? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
All right, fuck you guys. I'm out of here. All right, peace out. Everyone can log out now. Bye, guys. Peace.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Destiny, you're gonna get me canceled by association, bro.
Good. Have fun.